Welcome, everyone, to Sequester Mini. In the words of last night's mini winner, Dash, welcome to the motherfucking show. My name is TR. I am a two-time mini player and two-time Sequester Mini loser, and today I am joined by some great people to discuss last night's Sequester Mini game in which Dash was crowned the winner by a vote of 4-3. Normally, I have Louis joining me here, but he has so graciously agreed to take a backseat to today's show, so that way we could welcome all of our guests, because unfortunately StreamYard only allows 6 people at a time, as we know from the room limits in the actual game itself. So let's bring the guests in. Joining me first, I have previous winner who won my first game. We played together. We were tethered together. Let's bring her in. We've got Suzi. Hi, Suzi. How's it going? Happy to have you. Coming up next, we have last night's winner. A lot of people talking about him in the chat. Lots of fun antics to watch. Let's bring in Dash. Hi, Dash. How's it going? Then, of course, we can't have the final two without Sarah. We've got Sarah here. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you. And followed by, dragged at the final four, we have Brandon. Brandon, try not to be too embarrassed. It's okay. You can show yourself. And last but not least, we have Taylor. Hi, Taylor. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Dash. Hi, Suzi. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for having yourself be on here. Thanks for taking the time. I don't know how to talk. And thanks to everyone in the chat who's watching with us. I will be featuring some of your comments, so if you have anything you want to say, be sure to say it. I do have my wife, Mallory, who played a mini before, and in Taylor's game in the chat. She's there. We have Louis. We have Allison, Dylan, Kevin. Lots of people. Lots of great stuff. So let's get into it. How's everyone doing?
Great. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I'm great. I appreciate it. I'm of course. I'm so glad that we pushed the time back to give everyone a little bit of a chance to sleep. And I honestly don't know what I was thinking before doing these at noon. So I think 3 p.m. is a much better start time from here on out. So that's going to be the official Sequester Mini stream time. So set your calendars. All right. Well, let's get into it. Guys, does anyone have any thoughts on the game before we kind of start round one? Anything anyone's itching to say or get off their chests right off the bat?
I do. Is anyone
Go for it, Dash.
Okay, well, I just want to say, well, first of all, I am so, I just want to say first and foremost, I'm so grateful and thankful to have finally won this game. This is something that I've wanted for literally over a year since I played my first mini. And I'm so proud of myself that I finally won. I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little embarrassed just because I may have drank a little too much. But you know what? It happens to the best of us. And I'm not going to beat myself up over it because it's funny because the first 2 times I played, I was so tactical and so everything I did was so thought out and strategic. And I thought I played an amazing game. And this time I just kind of was a hot mess express. And you know what? It fucking worked. Are we allowed to curse? Oh, okay, cool. So it worked. So I'm happy. So thank you to the jurors who crowned me, and congratulations to Sarah on runner-up. I'm so happy to be final 2 with you. And honestly, you guys all did a great job. Congrats on final 4. That's definitely a big feat. And I just want to address right off the bat some of the comments that really bother me, if that's okay.
Go for it.
So basically, I don't know if I'm big on the screen. Is that
this is your platform? You have a moment.
So, I appreciate I felt like I was a very polarizing character, which I always know I am that kind of way. The thing is, my intention is always good. I'm always coming from a good place. Do I always react the best way? No, I'm an imperfect human, but I'm always coming from a good place. And it really upset me and bothered me that I had some whack-ass, hating-ass bitches trying to say that I was using my best friend as strategy. My best, I don't know if y'all have ever lost somebody extremely close to you, but you don't know when they're going to hit and when you're going to feel them with you. As I said, this is something I'm extremely passionate about, and this is something that I've wanted for years. And like when I in that final 5, I knew my back was against the wall, and I knew I needed the girls to believe me, and I had already been feeling my best friend who passed with me. So I knew in that moment that I just had to be honest and say that I swore on him, and I stand by it because I wasn't lying. Like, I would never have dragged the girls in the final 4 because I swore on him. So, it is what it is. I wasn't using that to get jury votes. I was just being honest. I'm a real ass bitch if you can't tell. Take it or leave it. I really don't give a damn. I make my parents proud and I make myself proud. And that's really all I care about at the end of the day. And I know my intentions are good. So, yeah, it's really disgusting. Clearly, the people saying that have never lost somebody close to them, because if you had, you would know that it's not up to you when you feel them with you and when not. And I was just being authentic and honest in that moment. That's how I played this game. I was real. I said what the fuck was on my mind. And I know that Jake is looking down and he's proud of me. So anybody who has a motherfucking problem can sit on this and rotate.
I just want to say, I don't think also Dash swearing on his best friend had anything to do with Taylor and I voting with him. Like, it didn't make us trust you more. Like, didn't convince us to vote that way. Like, that was pure emotion on your part, and it didn't impact my strategy. And I don't think it impacted Taylor's either. I don't know. But, like, yeah.
No, looking at the final 5, Kevin, I didn't think was going to vote with me at all. And I thought that he was going to drag me or vote for me regardless. So I knew that this was my ideal final 4. So that's why I ended up saving you.
Yeah, I saved Dash so that I wouldn't get dragged at 4, and Taylor and I had the best chances of making final 2, because y'all were dragging each other, like fighting with each other. That was where it had nothing to do with swearing on anybody.
Yes, agreed.
All right, thank you, Dash. Any other thoughts, soapboxes, monologues anyone wants to go off of?
Well, I prepared a speech.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I did not.
You have 5 minutes to interrupt. Go for it. All right, well, okay.
I was rooting for you.
We were all rooting for you. Okay, well, thank you, Dash. If no one else wants to take the moment, we can just dive right into the game. I'm going to go ahead. I took some general notes. I'm sure the audience has their own notes. We're going to go through the rounds. Some rounds obviously not as juicy as others. So if you guys don't have anything to say, no hard feelings. We can mosey right along to the next round. All right. So let's go into the game first. Right off the bat, I like to talk intro videos. I myself probably spent too much time on my intro videos. Intro videos are, of course, I've said it before, I'll say it again, they're a big part of the game. They're the first impression you get of each other. And since most of us aren't necessarily influencer figures like people who play This Past Sunday, or television figures who've played on Big Brother or Survivor, we only have that to go off of. So what was your strategy going into this game and making your intro video? How did you want to present yourself? How did you want to come across? Do you think you did it? What do you think the perception was? A lot of questions. If anyone has any immediate thoughts that want to jump out at them. Brandon, say, for example.
Yes, I actually went back and watched a shit ton of I've watched every mini that's happened so far, but I went back and watched specifically the intro videos of the past and the people that were voted out first because of it. Because I have a good friend of mine who was actually voted out immediately because seemingly his intro video was a little bit boring. So I wanted to do my best to not necessarily do that, but try to just be funny and do something dumb. And I had a little Easter egg in mind that I wrote Kimberly Ford, Miss Calgary as one of the tabs in the thing. Nobody noticed it, but I thought it was very funny. But I did that. And then, it ended up working because I didn't hear my name a ton. And then, I think it doesn't necessarily benefit the people, obviously, who have the most boring videos. And the 3 most boring videos that I wrote down were the 3 names that came up immediately at that round. So, I mean, the strategy for everybody watching this who's going to play this is, whatever you do, just the video has to be, fun in some capacity, make people laugh or, use something, you don't want to be just, kind of.
Yeah, but in the same way, like if y'all saw when Taylor played last time, like Morgan's video had MP in it, and then that's what got people talking about her name. So for me, like I was able to come in with like an inch of anonymity, just because I haven't played a Sequester Mini, despite the fact I played a ton of orgs. So I guess like my initial approach was just to be agreeable and like calm, even though that's not my personality in the slightest. And anyone who knows me, and Jacob was saying this at the end, like he would have never expected me to play this way because I'm always like that big person. So for me, and especially being a girl and being younger, like you definitely have an edge coming into it, just being calm and like chill.
Yeah, I say for intro videos, you want to have like a happy medium between entertaining and like, but you don't want to be a threat in a sense, because like I've played before, I'm a big personality, and so it's really easy for me to cross the line of becoming a threat when I'm trying to be entertaining. So it's about finding that balance between entertaining and boring, like somewhere in the middle that you're like not boring but not an immediate threat.
Oh, because like y'all saw, like as soon as Gabe got to put 5 people up, he literally just put the boring people up with their intro video. It was like, how much time did you really get to talk within the first round to decide who to put up? He was just like, you know what, fuck it. Like Emma was boring. So
Yeah.
it
Oh, sorry, finish.
no, go ahead.
I agree. Like for me, I was just trying to be myself, honestly. I knew that like I always like rely on my social game, at least for the like large majority of the game. And I knew that I wanted to show people that I'm funny and that I'm entertaining. So basically, you don't want to kick out the funny, entertaining people in the beginning because you want to put on a good show for the people. So that's why I said that whole line about the firecracker, because I was like, is this too ratchet? But I was like, you know what? Like, I just gotta that was my strategy. That I'm just gonna throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Because overthinking is not working. So, you know what? That's what I did.
I think that like it's really interesting to look at how the videos really talk a lot about our games too, like who's thinking hard, what kind of player they're gonna be. For my video, I was a little like self-deprecating, and that's kind of the way I wanted to play my game, is just like, you know, I'm trying to play Sequester, and like my profession is I'm a poet, and it's like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is not a game strategy profession that I have coming in here. I have a lot of emotions, pretty like sonnets about them or some shit. So like coming into the game, I wanted people to not be threatened by me, and so I was self-deprecating, and I hoped, and it seemed to work, that people were just like either ignoring me or they were just like, no, Suzi, she's just not gonna, she's got something going on weird there, or she's just playing this game and just trying to have a good time. And I was like, I am though, I really am. So I think that our videos reveal a lot about how we strategize throughout the entire game and how we play our game. It's not just like how we're going into the first round, but they really tell a lot about what we're going to do from beginning to end.
Also, a tip for people watching, don't make them too long. I feel like the people that make them too long piss people off, and they're like, now you're wasting my time. You got me fucked up. You're going home. Like, that's why mine was only 19 seconds. I did that on purpose because I just wanted to be boom, boom, and out.
Yeah, there were some people like Dash started right away like King. He was like a legend. Like you just like, and then Ride or Die, we make final 2. It's just like the impression that you give off. Like, and he was even saying it when we were in the room by ourselves. Like the spiritual connection, it's just like there. If you put yourself out there and you're outgoing, like people are gonna respond to it well.
I think those are all fantastic points.
I totally agree with that.
Sarah, you're back. Cool. Well said. The chat seems to pretty much agree with you. A lot of people are saying that this was actually a pretty great cast for intros. There were largely, for the most part, very well done intros. So good job to you guys. Kudos. In the first round, as you said, of course, that culminated with Gabe being eliminated. A lot of you guys agree that you didn't necessarily, of course, get as much time with him. That's usually how it works out in these first rounds. It's the easy vote. Who didn't I get FaceTime with? And he had a pretty fun exit to kick off the game. He immediately put up 5 people that he said he found boring, but then pivoted and picked people that didn't necessarily seem to be boring, and then cussed out Mike because Mike doesn't like cussing. Wow.
But he didn't get the point of that intro video. I felt like so many people missed it. That video was so funny. He was clearly lying about everything. I remember in our original room, like everyone was like, what is wrong with Mike? He doesn't like cursing. I'm like, no, guys, like, he was joking. It was all a joke. But I was so sad that Gabe went because he's like one of the only people that I recognize from like All About Orgs, minis and stuff like that. So I didn't vote for him. I had no idea he was going. Kevin played that LOS and then didn't tell anybody until the safety round, which was like way later. And like everyone knew that Kevin played the LOS, but he kept denying it. And it was like ridiculous.
Oh, see, I thought it was Patrick who played the LOS. It was Kevin? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's what I assumed watching, yeah. Now, so in that first round, it looked like, from an audience perspective, it was somewhat confusingly chaotic at first because there were a bunch of names going around. There was at least 3-4 different names floating around at any given time. What names were you all experiencing during that moment, and where were you leaning?
I thought it was exclusively Gabe, and then people were telling me Kevin, which I was never in the loop with Kevin at all, and I didn't want to vote for Kevin. So I Gabe was funny, but I voted Gabe, and I thought that's what everybody else was doing. I'm curious to see if the LOS has made any effect on the actual vote, if it was going to be Gabe regardless, or if Kevin had the majority and used that successfully.
Yeah, so I only heard Kevin and Patrick. I heard Gabe maybe once or twice, and I was like, I don't really want to do Gabe, so I just kept pushing Kevin, Patrick, whichever room, like catered to the room, basically, and I ended up voting for Kevin in that round.
And we had all talked in our original room about doing Mike, and then like nobody jumped on it, and it was like just like out. And the only reason it got cracked was because Geneva pulled up in the rooms. It was like, I've heard like 7 names. Like, first of all, no, you didn't. Like, stop fucking lying. Like, clownery. But like, no hate. Like, you were great, but like it was like a mess. Like, that's why it was just like really hard to trust Geneva. But like, I heard Gabe once and then never again. Like, it just died out for me. I ended up voting Kevin in the first round, which is ridiculous because I adore him. People in the chat think we were showmans. Whatever. But I thought it was between Patrick and Kevin for sure. Yeah, you said like 5 names, 7 names, same thing. I can't count.
Yeah, from an audience perspective, I believe I took note that I had several times heard Kevin, Gabe, Patrick, Jacob, and Mike all going around pretty consistently from people. So that was.
I did not want Gabe to go either. I love Gabe. I think he's an icon personally. So I voted Patrick that round, and I felt bad because I did talk to him, and he seemed really sweet. But Kevin was in my original room, and like I always try and protect my original room. So out of those 3 options, he just made the most sense to me. So I was absolutely gobsmacked when Gabe went
on. My thing with Patrick was the thing I wrote about him when we were like doing notes at the beginning was that he was very naive. Like, I don't know if it was the first or second round, but I was talking about voting him in a room and he popped in, and then I changed the subject in 3 seconds and he never like picked up on it at all. Like, just like stopped talking about game and started asking me about like Disneyland. So I was like, what? Your name is on the block. Like, what's going on?
I feel like it was so weird that Kevin like lied about using the LOS. It was such a bad lie. Like who else would have used the LOS? And also, he wasn't a great liar. I'm not a good liar either. So like during the game, I think I lied like once when I told Zach that that I wasn't tethered to anyone, and he was like. And I was like, no, really. So if you can't lie, just don't do it. Say something else. Talk about something else. Be vague, but to just straight up be like, I don't know who played the LOS. Who could it have been? It was a mystery. Like,
well,
everyone was like, cool, liar.
This was the funny thing. When I was in that room with Kevin by ourselves for literally like 7 minutes during the safety round, because we were like the first people saved, I asked him, I was like, did you play the LOS the first round? He goes, no. And then 2 seconds later, he's like, actually, I did. I'm going to tell you the truth. I haven't told anyone the truth. And it's the same thing that Brandon did when we voted Daniel out. He lied to Dash and then literally just in 2 seconds cheated. Like, that's the easiest way to be shady. Like, if you're going to lie, stick to it. But if you're going to tell the...
I cracked.
I can't.
I cracked instantly. I was like, I didn't know what to do. So I'm like, I'm fucking, this will be fun. So I just, And
you're like, I voted Levita. And then he was like, what? And then Levita
I
you're like, actually, I voted Daniel.
I did.
And he's like, why did you lie to me? And you were like, I would never lie to you.
That sounds like me. That sounds like a thing I would do.
Well, round one ended with Gabe being eliminated. As I said, he cussed out Mike. He put up 5 people for, to be in danger for elimination the following round. And the people he put up were Patrick, Lavina, Emma, Lauren, and Mike. We went into the second round. Patrick was eliminated by the end of this round. Anything stand out to you in that round? Was Patrick the main target? Was anything else going on your mind? Were you doing damage control from all the confusion in the first round? What was happening?
To me, it was I did not want any of the girls to go home. I wanted Mike or Patrick gone because Emma and Lauren were the 2 girls that were also from my province. And so I already knew I had a connection with them. And then it's normally like when one girl goes, it's just like a pile on after the other. So I wanted Patrick from like that whole round. And I was in a room with, I think, Renee and Hunter at that point. And we were like, Patrick or Mike, doesn't matter which one. Like, let's go and spread those names. And we had left. So.
Yeah, and same thing that Taylor said. We had 7 girls in the final 14, which was literally half of the numbers, obviously. And then by the final 9, there were 3 left. Like, as soon as girls go, they go. And they drag each other because they're fucking catty as shit.
That was a round where I felt like Mike saved himself because the girls' alliance was strong. Like, I saw girls in rooms together and men let women be in rooms all by themselves for some fool-ass reason. But there were rooms full of just women, and they were like, no girls. And even, like, girls who were in rooms with men were like, throwing out Patrick and Mike's names. So Mike had some traction, but then Mike was in a room with, I don't remember who, but I know Dash was in that room. And,
I think it was
like,
me, Dash, Mike, and Jacob.
Yeah, and then like as soon as Mike left, he was like socializing it up in there. He wasn't even really talking game. He was just like talking whatever. And then he left, and somebody, I think Patrick, came in and was like, who are we voting? Should we vote Mike? And Dash was like, no, I like Mike. And everyone was like, yeah, Mike is so nice. We really enjoy him. So, I mean, Mike was about to go because the girls' alliance was like, Mike or Patrick, let's go Mike. His video was confusing. And then I know I didn't get that either. I was like, his video was hilarious. The first thing I wrote down was like, fake cat. But anyway, so Mike was gone that round, but just the likability factor, just not even talking game, but just being chill, saved his ass, and Patrick didn't even see it coming.
I was gonna boot, like I was going around Patrick, but then I would have entertained Mike. But as soon as I talked to him, I hadn't talked to Mike, and then I did, and I wanted him to coach me baseball or something. Like, I wanted to go like on like a seesaw with him or something. Like, he's just a wholesome man, and I absolutely was never going to vote him until.
I think the other thing that was said about Mike, and I don't know if it was said in y'all's room, but that his name would keep coming up, like no matter what the round, and people, like, not that he was necessarily a threat to win, but that he would have just been like repeatedly targeted over and over again. And at the point, if we need an easy vote, which we did at 9, when none of us could have voted, and when we already voted, we could send him home. That was you, Taylor.
I was trying to protect Mike like the whole game. Like, I love Mike. I'm a Mike stan. Like, I feel like, you know what, we're like the bootleg Karen and Ika, like male version.
No one can ever be Karen, ever.
No, he's like the male version of Karen in my mind because I'm delusional. And no, but like, you know what I'm saying? They both are like just savage as fuck and like entertaining, and like the old one, and like not afraid to just call somebody out. And I was here for his entertainment. I also felt like in my head, I wanted him in Final Four because I felt like Mike would be a bigger target than me in Final Four, and I don't think he would drag me. So that's why I wanted Mike. So I did not vote Mike when he went home. So
the other thing about Mike is he was very transparent, and like you could see on his face how he felt about something. I remember it was just the 2 of us in a room, and I threw out Taylor's name to see what he would say about it. Not that I would ever target you, Taylor, but and he like immediately, I was like, all right, I'm gonna bounce around, and like I saw him like roll his eyes at me immediately, and I was like, okay, like then he has to go next. And this was literally at 10, and then he went at 9. Like, he just could not keep his emotions off of his face.
Mike hated me for no reason. He started throwing my name out, and then I yelled at him a lot, and then it was gone. Since then, he had to go.
Well, because you said that you were going to drag him at 16 if he kept pushing your name, which was iconic.
I'm such a mess. I don't know why I did like that. I don't know if that was smart at the same time, but I got Mike to not vote for me. So.
And this was the thing, when that tie vote happened at 16, and I'm sure we'll get into that, but he was like celebrating in the room with me when I was like, what? And then he gets into the other room and he was like, I wasn't celebrating that, like, I was celebrating that it was a tie and that you didn't just go home. And I was like, you're the worst liar I've ever met. Oh I love you, Mike. Like, but like, oh my God.
All right, well, round 2, Patrick was eliminated. That brought us into round 3. There were 18 players left in the game, and this was our first experience with the wheel for the night. And it would not be last, but we'll get to that later on. So this was the room roulette, and room 1 ended up being chosen, and that put Renee, Emma, Khalid, Scott, and Daniel up as flops. From an audience perspective, when the round started with the flops in the room, they were all like, oh, well, all right, what are we going to do? Oh, man, this is sad. Okay. And then the first person to leave the room was who everyone turned on. And that was Khalid, I believe, of course. So something you got to be careful of in the game of Sequester. I believe that I saw something like that happen 2 or 3 times last night with things like that. If you're the first person to leave, you might be the first one to go out of that group. Does anyone remember anything standing out that round? Was Khalid, for you guys, the clear target when you were in your other rooms and you started hearing people moving around? Or how did it get to that point?
I think like the first thing to point out about that is if you're ever playing that round, always be in a room where someone's a bigger target than you. For me, I was in Kevin's room, so I knew that and it was between my room and the room that got it at the end. They was like, everyone here is going to end up voting for Kevin or one of the guys if we lose. Like, it's fine. But I watched Khalid play Bryce's Mini. So I really wanted to work with him, but at the same time, Khalid and Scott started targeting each other. And I think Dash, me, you, and Scott like had kind of like tried to figure out working together. And like, I love Scott. He was like so genuine and like sweet as hell when he came to me. He's like, I genuinely just want to make it one more round. Like, how can you vote that out? Like, you can't.
I'm with you, Sarah. I think we were on the same page with that. Like, I thought Scott was adorable. Like, it seemed like a lot of the people in the cast kept targeting him. I don't know why, but I was also trying to protect him. Like, all the people that I feel immediate social bonds with are the people that I try and protect, because I feel like late game, you need those social bonds. So yeah, he was definitely, when I heard his name around, I was pushing Khalid because I had never spoken to Khalid. So that was an easy vote for me. And
I think we also ended up in a room with Khalid as the time ran out, and he was like staring at us, and I was like overwhelmed.
Yeah, that round was oopsies for me because I was speaking about like how I wanted Khalid out and how he would just like go in a room and be like, save me guys, like I've got you all, and then leave. And like I was like finishing that sentence and he joined the room and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I had to explain to him like, oh, you know what, like that was like, it's the truth, I'm sorry, like that's just how you're coming across to people. And he's like, well, thank you for telling me the truth. And I'm like, he's got to go after that. Like I fucked myself up so bad.
I was like, I'm just gonna leave. Like, I don't want to be part of this. But once that happened, I knew he had to go because if him and Taylor were gonna fight, then he had to go.
It was a big oops on my part.
Someone made a good point in the chat. I don't know if anyone did this intentionally. It seems with rounds like these with the wheel, there's little superstitious curses developing about which rooms get chosen. And it has become the observation that largely room 5 is chosen. And last night, no one went to room 5 for this round. So it was empty and was taken out. Someone was wondering if that meant that anyone did that intentionally, or was that just happened to be the case?
I just stayed in the room that I was in. I think you never leave a room. If you leave a room and then your wheel gets spun, they're all going to vote you out. Like, I think maybe it was 2 weeks ago, someone left the room and then was in 2 rooms and they had to respin the wheel. And then that guy got voted out and it was like Blake or something. I don't remember who it was exactly.
Yeah,
like,
I remember that one.
Right. Mm-hmm. If that can like just stay in the room you're in. And I thought Kevin was gonna leave our room. He was like sitting there, like staring at his computer, and I was like, fuck, like Kevin, don't leave. This could get so bad. But numbers don't matter, people matter.
Yeah, especially in that round. But I started that round with a room of 3 people. It was me, Mike, and Renee. And I was like, there's no way I'm sticking in this room. I need to find more people. And so I got the hell out of there. And luckily I got into a room with 5 people. And I'm like, I'm not moving. This is it. I'm staying.
Yeah, as we've said, go ahead, Dash. Go ahead. I was just going to wrap up the statement.
Like, my whole thing for that round is just don't be in a room alone. So I already had my LOS at that point. So I knew if worse came to worse, as long as I'm in a room with other people, I can play my LOS if they're coming for me. But at that point, I honestly love this cast. Let me just say, I think this is the best cast I've ever played with. And I played in the Fans vs. Favorites, which featured half players from the live cast. So that's saying a lot for this cast. It was a bomb-ass cast. I loved the people. I felt good. But I knew I got to be in a room with other people. So that was my goal. As long as I'm with other people, I'm good.
And the other thing is, when you feel that a round is ending, never be in a room with the people that you trust the most. Because if that's the next twist, then you have to go against the people that you trust. The only, especially there's another twist. It wasn't used tonight, but when you have to nominate someone in your room and then all those people are the nominees, and I remember Dash said, let's leave this room, we don't want the next room twist to be to fuck us over and have to go against each other. And one of the rounds where I was in a room with Jaspreet by myself and the public was voting, I was like, shit, this could get so bad. So as soon as you feel a round is ending, get in a room with a lot of people and not your closest allies.
Yeah, because I think when we did safety roulette, I was in a room alone with Sarah from my season or game, not season, whatever. It feels like it. I mean, y'all did, I think, last several weeks, but for all of the rest of us, it was one night. But I was in the room with not someone I had a final two with, but somebody I was really close to, and everyone thought we had a final two, and so I was just like, no, we got to split up right now. Not only because I didn't want to be against her, but because that meant that if we were in other rooms, we could be, if one of us did go on the block, we had allies to campaign for us that were safe. So
yeah, and
it's a good way to get other people in other rooms that can talk to their room, and when because that's what we do when we start in a room. We're like, hey, who are we voting in this room? So you have somebody in that room who's going to be like, not your name, And
the other thing is, I don't know. I was never in a room with any of these 3 people until literally the final 9. When I saved Dash in that safety roulette round, I don't think we had talked since we had that ride or die conversation. I think every time Taylor and I were in a room together, one of us left. Every time, I didn't even see Brandon until final 11. So it's just don't be in a room with the people, because if you're in a room with those people, then no one's protecting you in the other rooms.
Oh my God, Sarah, I have things to say about that, but we'll probably get to that, I'm guessing. Or should I just spill tea now?
Whatever. If it's really pressing on you, go for it.
Well, I just want to say, Sarah, that moment, I already knew that, we were, we had already made our final 2 at that point, right?
We said rider. We had never said, we said final 2 later, but you were ride or die, ride or die.
Okay. So because I felt so panicked that round, and, when you did that for me, I literally put a heart next to your name, and I was like, my final 2. That meant so much to me, and, that was, the first time in the game that I felt, true fear for my life in the game, and the fact that, you had my back when you said you would. I just love a queen who's real and, will, back up what they say. So once that happened, I was like, I am protecting this queen period.
Well, I was freaking out that round because my room got the safety first, but I was in the room with Daniel, and we were literally just targeting each other, screaming at each other. He told me to shut the fuck up. And then Daniel was like, I'll give it to you. I'll prove that I'm with you right now. And I was like, I don't know if I would give it to him back. So I was so grateful the chain went in the way it did, so I didn't have to go back on that deal and look shady. But at the same time, I didn't give it to Taylor. And I know that last time she played, she got targeted in this round, and her biggest fear is that she would have gotten out. And when she was one of the last 3 people remaining, I was like, fuck, if I fuck this up, I'm never going to forgive myself. And at the end of the day, it was final 15. There was no reason for me to expose our final 2 at 15. That would have looked so shady. It worked out, but if it didn't, I don't even know what I would have done. She's mad. She's mad.
I mean, like, yeah. I was pissed. I like saw the names dwindling down, and I was like, once Brandon got it, I was like, thank the fucking Lord, because I knew like I would have been okay with Brandon, but like it was me or Geneva at that point, and I didn't have any connection to Geneva. So if it had gone to Geneva and not Brandon, I would have been out. So,
and I didn't even have an LOS at that point. If I did, I would have played it on you, but. Thank you, Brandon, for saving my life.
Thank you, Brandon.
I hope to see Geneva in a future mini. I think she's gorgeous, and I think she has the potential to really, really make it far in this game.
The only thing I would say about Geneva is like love you, Queen. But what I heard from my friends was that you seemed a little like rehearsed with the way that you were talking to people. Like it was the same thing in all your rooms, and you would like, especially during that safety round, you were just chasing people and like not trying to make connections with the people in your room who could have gotten safety and then given it to you.
All right. Well, so that round, of course, ended with Callie, to go back a little bit to where we were. You're good. And then the next round brought us to an audience vote. So the audience got to vote on a poll on Twitter on which room to save first, and then which room to put up for elimination. And to start out, they saved room 5, who, you know, I'm forgetting who was in that, but they nominated for elimination room 2, which was Taylor, Lauren, and Emma. So Taylor, Lauren, and Emma were up as flops going into round 4 when there were 17 players left in the game. Taylor, any thoughts going into that? Or Brandon, anything that's jumping out at you?
I was in room 4, which was the other, it was like the close, you know, it was like the 31 to 33% vote. And I was looking at room 4 and I'm like, these are the most boring fucking people that are still in here. Like, I'm thinking like, who's going to, and I don't know how the 3 of them got the vote and we didn't, because I thought for sure that we were done. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe, yeah. But I thought for sure that 4 was going to be out.
I was pissed. Not gonna lie, because like I don't think of myself as a flop. I don't think of myself as a boring person, and especially because like I had a rough like couple first rounds. Like I was definitely not happy. I think I was like shit out of luck basically with Emma and Lauren being in my room, because they were both like, they're not boring people. Like I didn't think they were boring. I just didn't think that they brought a lot of like to the beginning of the game. So like I was sitting there like I knew it was going to be our room for some reason, and I would just have to navigate it. But the problem is that round could have easily flipped on me, just because I am the big personality of that group, and like they could have taken out a big target that round. And so I was really, really nervous going into that round, and luckily I ended up.
And your name was definitely going around. Like everyone was someone made the fucking lie that Taylor won like the live game or whatever. Yeah, and honestly, I took that and I went with it. I was like, oh, well, if she won, we should keep her. She's a shield. Like if people are gonna say that, like that's it's final 17 for God's sakes. Like, and I think I was in a room with like 4 girls, none of the girls who were on the block. And I was like, look, none of us are huge targets. If we keep the big targets here, our names won't come up.
Right. Yeah, and the same thing happened in that room that it did with the other safe round, was that Lauren left, and Emma and I were like, Lauren! Like, we both were like, okay, fine, we spread Lauren. So...
So it's interesting, Sarah, because like it's like we're like once again aligned, because we were doing the same thing in different rooms, because
our minds were
our minds. Okay, first of all, I was gobsmacked once again when Taylor was nominated, because I've watched Taylor play. I'm a fan of Taylor. Like I think Taylor's an awesome, badass queen.
Same for TSL.
Hell yeah, like justice for TSL. And basically, like I was shocked she got nominated. I knew like I need other big targets around. Taylor's a gorgeous target. And so basically when Lauren immediately started targeting Taylor and they were like, room limit, I took after my ginger sister, Andy here, and I said, little rat ran right to Taylor. And it just like was fate, because the first room I joined, Taylor was there and I'm like, Taylor, Lauren's throwing out your name. And it was like, boom, done. And I just like, that moment was iconic. And it's like, it's looking to the future of the game. Taylor had the opportunity to drag me and she didn't. It's like, it's so interesting how that arc, like I love a story arc. So that was awesome.
And at the end of the day, all the big threats made the final 8. Like we got I think Brandon and I were the most under the radar people by the final 8. We kept Kevin, we kept Taylor, we kept Dash. Like Lavina was the Wentworth, like queen, beautiful legend. We kept I think Brandon and I were doing the same thing without like talking about it, keeping all the people who would be targets ahead of us.
Absolutely, that was my main thing the whole time. And like again, not that I want to like nobody's boring, everybody's beautiful and fun, but it also seems like the people who are the bigger threats are the ones who are louder and present themselves, on camera in a way that makes them more, advantageous to take to the end, rather than the people who are just kind of, sitting ducks who end up getting like between that, after like the third boot to the, whenever.
The people you forget about are the most dangerous people,
right?
Because you forget to write their name down. Like there's 20 people at the beginning. You only see the people on your screen. Like that's the worst.
Absolutely.
You want to keep the people whose names keep coming up.
It's like when you look at Big Brother, especially, I feel like so many of the winners are fucking boring. Like they just slide by and win. Like I think like the iconic players rarely win. Look at Janelle, look at Brittany, look at Ika. They don't win. Like they may make it far, but they don't fucking win. And so for me, when I know I'm a boss bitch personality, if you're an under the radar player and you're just going to slide by, you have got to go, because I already know that you're going to just slide by to the end. And if I can't win, I want someone who's like a dreamer or really entertaining to win.
And I think that's part of the reason that Daniel actually targeted me in the next round, because I was trying to play 2 under the radar and he was a big personality and I hadn't turned it up yet. And I think that with the final 16, with the tie vote, as soon as my name started getting thrown out, that's when I started screaming at Daniel and trying to like show people that like I am not under the radar. Like I am never under the radar.
I just want to say that like in this round, I was so confused about Sarah being like Taylor won, but I don't know where that started. Some people said that it started with Mike. I heard it first from Sarah.
I think I heard Kevin saying it originally.
Oh, okay. But he went around like that. People were just like, Taylor's a winner and she's coming back for another crown.
Well, I don't even know if I said that she won. I was just like, yeah, she's a big rep. Like she's played a bunch of these and like done well in a bunch of games.
Yeah, I think that somebody else in the room was like, she won, and you were like, maybe final or something, but like it got so confusing, and a lot of people spent a lot more time trying to figure out if Taylor had won than if like who they should vote out. But I also love Dash being like, I don't know, being like a number 1 Taylor stan, because I'm also a Taylor stan, and he was just like, leave Taylor alone. He was like, no.
I think Dash and I are both obsessed with Taylor St. Louis.
I think we all are.
So am I.
Where are the t-shirts? Oh, Daniel, you were the one who lied?
It was with Taylor, Mike, and Daniel. Like those were all my shields in my head. Like I was like, these are people that I know we like have a trust, we have a bond, but it's also like I think they'd be bigger targets in front of me, so I need them here. So whenever their names came up, I was trying to deflect those 3 of the time.
Taylor, I can't believe you voted out your own mother. Your own mother. Have some loyalty.
Big moves. Taylor is the most loyal bitch in this case. She went to wheel for me when she should have voted me out. Don't even go there.
We'll discuss that at the time when we get there. Because I'm not 100% sure that Taylor made that choice or if Brandon made that choice. So I think we have a lot to talk about when we get to that conversation.
But for now, I'm going to reel it back just a bit. So that round, the audience vote round, that culminated with Lauren being eliminated. So sad, Lauren. Okay. Into round 5. There were 16 players left in the game, and this was the first drag round. And this was the round where it was the highest even-numbered votes would be the one to be eliminated. And there was a tie. The tie was between Scott, Nicole, and Sarah. The tie was not broken. We went to the wheel. Renee was eliminated.
Who I voted
Scott
for.
was tagged. A lot to talk about there. So
Renee that round.
This was my favorite round. My favorite round.
I hinky voted for Scott, not thinking anybody else was going to do it, and then he was nominated. So, I mean, it's 5D chess if I've ever heard of it.
5D chess. Yeah, I loved this round because I got into a room and Daniel was like, Mike was throwing your name out, Taylor. Like, I just want you to know that I'm loyal to you. And I'm like, okay. And then Mike entered, Daniel left, and I'm like, so Mike, heard you're throwing out my name. And we had this like huge blow up, and I just love fighting with people. And he was like, whoa, like, what are you talking about? I didn't do it. And I was like, yes, you did. I was just sitting there. I was like, well, Mike, just so you know, if I get voted out, you're getting dragged. And luckily, I think that diverted the target off of me, whether I got an odd number of votes because Mike didn't end up voting for me or what. But I loved it. It was so fun. I love when like I could be messy and it still works out.
Yeah. From watching the feeds, because I watched them all back this morning with Brandon. So Daniel threw out my name, and I guess apparently I was leaving a room every time he got in there. But my thing was like, if there's a room limit, I'm just gonna leave. There's no reason for me to sit here and waste time. So it wasn't about him. It was just like, I'm not gonna waste time sitting here while nobody's talking. So I guess he threw out my name, and Geneva had told me and Kevin had told me, but my problem was Kevin told me that Brandon started it. So I knew that Kevin was lying because like we were 100% me, Taylor, Brandon, and Josh Bree. Like I was like, there's no way Brandon threw out my name. So I thought Kevin was so fucking shady, and he had told me to put a vote on myself so that would be odd, but which I should have done looking back because I mean, it all worked out in the end, like no regrets except keeping Dash at 5. But I love you. I said to myself at the beginning, I'm never self-voting because you never want to self-vote yourself out. Like if I get voted out, fine, I'm never gonna fucking vote myself out. Like that would be ridiculous. Like hate that. I don't know how it worked out in the end. Like honestly, that round's a mess, and it always is a mess. Like I had said with Just Breed, if we ever had that round, the two of us are just voting for Jacob, but then it was a drag round, so you can't even do that.
Sarah, did you know Brandon and Just Breed before this game?
No.
Oh,
we were all in the room together, the first room. It was me, Taylor, Brandon, Just Breed in the first. I knew Taylor and I knew Gabe Cohn. And apparently I knew Jacob. Round, I didn't remember.
Normally the even round is a fun round to navigate, in my opinion, because like it adds an element of like strategy and like thinking about who you can vote with, but making it a drag round made it so much harder. Like I had never played it with a drag round, and so like all of a sudden I was like, I don't know what to do. Like if I get 4 people together, I'm one of 4 people, and I'm a big personality, and I'm gonna get dragged. So like I did not know what to do.
My strategy in the round, and nobody wanted to go with it, which I understand because I thought it was so smart, was that if you had 4 people in a room who you voted for, someone you thought would get a hinky vote, that would be 5, and then it doesn't count and nobody gets dragged. But nobody wanted to fuck with that. I was like, that is so smart. Like, guys,
I think I was into that when you mentioned
you were into that, but we were in with Jacob and Mike, who did not trust us at all.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I remember thinking that was part. Sense. There has to be a way to navigate that in a better way, and
like,
I think that is that way.
Like that would be an odd number of votes. Like.
Yeah, this was like the first time that we had room limits of 4 during the even number thing too, because in the past it's always been room limits of 3, which has made it be like really hard to get 4 votes on someone. So this was like a really added twist. Like, yes, the 4 of us can vote together, but then we would get dragged. Something I thought about that nobody talked about is why don't 3 of us vote one way and one person vote another way, and that would be all odds.
Because everyone throws hinky votes. You never like everybody throws votes.
Like that's the thing. You can't navigate around hinky votes in the end, and you kind of the drag is what it makes people play scared, but you kind of have to just play and be like, maybe I'll get dragged, but maybe people like me and won't drag me, or maybe people will drag a floater. So I mean, the drag rounds are always going to be a toss up. You kind of just have to vote out your target. I always feel like, because Otherwise, I mean, you're just going to spend the whole game strategizing and never come to a solution, which is kind of what we saw happen.
And honestly, props to Daniel, because I wasn't dragging him if I left. I was dragging Kevin for being shady as shit. Like, Daniel had told me on the revote, he's like, look, I voted for you. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, you leave rooms every time I come in. I was like, okay, like, thank you for being honest about it. I asked Kevin to throw my name, and he was like, Brandon. And then he was like, no, not Brandon, Nicole. And I was like, dude, come up with a fucking answer and stick. Like, love Kevin now. Like, but...
Honestly, nobody was coming up with plans that round, and it was stressing me the hell out because nobody seemed to know what to do. And so my strategy was just to throw a hinky so that way I'm not on the drag list, because I feel like I'm just such a juicy target to drag, like kind of like how Taylor was saying. And so
Taylor, you got dragged last time in this round too, right?
Not this round, but I got dragged early pre-juries because they were like, it was at me fighting with like another girl, and the guy that ended up getting voted out was standing the girl over me. So he's like, fuck you, Taylor. And so, but yeah, I'm so sad that it was Renee that ended up getting wheeled out. She was such a queen, and she went so early. I was so pissed, but
it wasn't anyone that I was like super connected with, so I didn't really give a fuck. Like, as long as it's not me or my
I like Renee.
I'm a Renee fan as well. Like, I love her.
I know.
I mean, props. She also was the one who told me that my name was going around first. So, like, thanks, Queen. But, like, thanks for taking the hit. I mean, you got whatever.
Poor Renee.
And then she dragged Scott.
Dragging Scott, eliminated by the wheel. Very random.
I was tight.
I kind of appreciated her dragging Scott, because Scott's name had been making the rounds, but he wasn't making any impressions. He was like floating easy name, and so I feel like she kind of took Scott as like okay, now you guys don't have like this person to use as a scapegoat. Now you have to keep going after each other. So for me, I missed Renee. I loved Renee, but I'm glad that she did like not a big move, but a fun move for the rest of us watching, because we didn't have to watch another round of people being like, oh, what about Scott?
And it definitely was perfect timing, because I think the next round was the safety round, and then strategy just really fucking picks up at that point. And as much I do love Scott, and like I saw him in the YouTube chat, like the whole, like when Brett and I were rewatching this morning, like he was in there the whole time. But also, Brandon's name is spelled Brandon, not I-N, not E-N.
Oh, is that Scott? Is that who that was?
Oh, do you mean Daniel? Brandon?
No, I said Brandon a bunch of screenshots of people spelling his name wrong. But
Scott in the group chats with my friends that I read, after the game was over, was an absolute thirst trap. So Scott, if you do listen to this, you had a lot of people who thought you were very, very attractive. So there's that. That's it.
He's adorable.
But I think the point was that he was just adorable. Like, he was literally just social. But I felt like whenever I was in a room with Scott, he didn't make an effort to throw out names or be strategic. And that in a safety chain round, he probably would have gone home that round anyway.
Yeah, I would agree.
Maybe.
So we
He was so innocuous that he could have also scraped by that round, because if somebody saves Scott, like nobody's gonna be like, oh, Scott's aligned with that person, because he was so innocuous. They'd be like, oh, okay, so Scott next. Like, he was such a pass-overable player because he just did not talk game or strategy. So I think that it was a good drag for that reason. It didn't impact the game a ton. We didn't see like a huge shift because of that. So that's the kind of drag I like. I don't like to see the big players go during a drag.
Rachel Riley robbed.
Robbed! So robbed.
Like,
oh my god!
I wanted to see her walking on her treadmill the whole game.
My favorite Big Brother winner ever.
God.
Mine too.
The audience was robbed of seeing
I think I literally wrote
exactly
for Dash's intro video. I wrote Riley Stan Queen.
Someone compared me to her. They were like, "Oh my god, we love our crack ginger Rachel Riley," like, and tagged me, and I was like, "That is such a compliment."
The biggest compliment.
I love Rachel Riley. I'm sorry, like, she's my
sass. She's amazing. Yeah, my fave. I loved her on Amazing Race. I will watch her on anything. She's like, hey, so I'm just gonna walk around my neighborhood and make mean comments about
Actually,
people. I'm like, cool, I'll watch it.
the only time I didn't root for her was on this season of The Amazing Race because she came at the Afghanimals and they're my people. They follow me on Instagram. We DM all the time. Love them.
They're so cute. They're so
Cutest.
cute. They're amazing.
They sent me a hat
Also,
with like
Taylor,
a
your cat is
handwritten
adorable.
note. Don't lie to her.
Oh no, leave my cat alone.
You're about to get like animal rights activist PETA's in your like inbox now.
I'm allergic to cats and a dog bit me once, okay?
Wait, oh my God, Suzi, speaking of animal rights, I have to ask you something. Is that okay?
Yes.
So when someone sent me screenshots, they were like, oh, another winner's talking shit. And they were talking about you. And they basically said that when I won and you said, make sure to get your dogs and cats neutered. And they said that you were talking about me.
Oh yeah, I was, because I thought you were like doing this amazing like oh, I see what you're saying. They thought I said no, because you were doing these amazing like infomercial things. So I was comparing you to Bob Barker, because you were like, go vote, gay rights, make sure to register. So I thought you were gonna be like, spay and neuter your pets. Like, I was comparing you to Bob Barker. Oh my God, I was not saying anything salacious. That's disgusting. I'm so sorry that. No, I'm so sorry that I didn't realize that that would come off that way. I was making fun of the way that you were just like poster childing it. I thought it was hilarious that you were just like, my speech is like, hello y'all, and make sure that today that you go out and vote, shop local. So I was like, gay rights, spay and neuter your pets.
I was tight when Dash said gay rights.
I'm so sorry that happened.
No, don't apologize. Because like I didn't think that that's what you were saying, but like basically people were being messy and trying to get me to like come for you at Winners at War.
No. Well, no, I mean, out of context, I think if you weren't listening to the way you were speaking at that moment, that I could see what they were saying, like why they would think it was salacious. So, no, nothing salacious or disgusting meant by that. Just like, I loved your like, and I'm going to use this as a platform. I was
All
like,
of
everyone
Sequester
here is
Universe
gay.
Here. Dash, when you said gay rights, one of my favorite tweets was like, Dash just said gay rights, but I played an org with Sarah and she spent 90 days flirting with a girl and not playing the game.
Like, I was just like, I thought that was so funny. I was like, I assume everyone who plays or watches Sequester is queer, because like heterosexuality sounds fake, but okay.
We don't know her.
Not today. So I love that. Like Sarah was like, gay rights, I don't know what.
You know, oh my God, Sarah,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Is this some early Winners at War drama going on right here, guys? Come on.
Dash and I are like killing each other. Winners at
Oh
War.
my God, no,
I'm wearing my crown today.
Listen, I was so upset because I was like, wait. Like when I didn't watch your mini, you're one of the only minis I didn't see. But then when I heard that a queer POC woman won, I was like standing. Like someone like me, like that is what I live for. Like you're at the marginal, like you're at the crossroad of misogyny, homophobia, and racism. Like we have no choice but to stand a strong team.
Well, we also have like we have another queer woman of color too. Sharifa killed it.
I'm also
Team Rory Moore and
I
Winners
was
at War. Team Rory.
I was
Jamie Boots
Team
for
gay
last.
rights.
Jamie for last.
Sharifa inspired my end game of just being a fucking savage and just fucking going for it. Because like once I saw her do that last weekend, I was like, I'm just gonna throw shit at the motherfucking wall because it worked for Queen Sharifa. Maybe it can work for me.
Leave Bryce alone. I love Bryce Williams with all my heart.
Well,
we've got tough competition for Winners at War.
We were inching closer towards the safety chain round in the game, but it still was a round away, just to bring it back a little bit. So going into the next round, after Renee was eliminated, Scott was dragged, we were all so torn up about it, we moved into the odds and evens round. So this was the round right before the safety chain. We were just getting close to it. There were 14 players left in the game, and there was a very large majority of people who were evens. They had the positive numbers on their screen on the grid. There was Dash, Brandon, Hunter, Sarah, Emma, Geneva, Jacob, Kevin, Nicole, and Taylor, with only Jaspreet, Mike, Daniel, and Lavina in the minority there with the odds.
Let's give props where props are due. Lavina fucking killed that. Like, 2 LOS. I thought there was no way anyone from Evens was going home. 2 LOSs. Like, queen.
Do we know who the second LOS was?
I thought it was Jaspreet.
Oh.
I don't know.
I think he's in the chat, so he could maybe confirm that in a moment or two.
I think they said it on the call last night, but the 2 of them planned it. I don't know if they both played LOSs or what the deal was, but they were all like throwing each other under the bus, and then they voted together. I was like, what?
I was shocked when Nicole went. I thought Odd was going for sure.
Honestly, though, okay, maybe it was Daniel, but honestly, at that point, I felt comfortable because with only 4 people voting for you, I knew Lavina and Jaspreet weren't gonna vote for me. So I don't know about if y'all felt. I think Brandon and Taylor, y'all probably definitely felt the same way.
Yeah, I was fine. I was good. I was doing confessionals in a room alone.
I didn't know how Lavina was going to do, but I think Daniel wanted to keep me around a little bit longer, and same with Jaspreet. So.
Well, there were a few confrontations in that round, mainly with Daniel. Daniel and Sam had a confrontation. Daniel and Lavina had a confrontation.
Oh, this is the round that Daniel told me to shut up. Because I was like, I'm voting for Daniel, and Daniel goes, shut up. And I go, I don't give a fuck. Like, I ran around with his name everywhere, and it gained no traction. And I was like, okay, he's playing. And then it was funny because then we ended up in a room together, and I was like, okay, look, like, I'll stop spreading your name. Like, if you actually want to work together, like, we're having a conversation now. And then he gave me safety the next round. So, like, king.
By the end of this round, 2 LOSs were played. It seems it was Lavina and Daniel. And it also seems that that's probably where the vote was leaning towards, because it seemed to be quite the blind side when Nicole was the one eliminated there. Did any of you vote Nicole? No, vote that way? Where did you guys vote?
None of us could vote Nicole.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, true.
I voted Lavina that round.
I did too.
As did I. Lavina was someone who scared the shit out of me in the game. I just like saw her winning. It was like in my gut. And I'm so grateful that she didn't go out then, because she was my deciding vote. And I stand the fuck out of that gorgeous queen. Lavina went first.
I voted Lavina as well that round.
I had no idea who to vote that round. I wanted to vote Daniel, but nobody else was like giving me confirmation on it.
Yeah.
Total blindside. 2 LOSs out of the game.
I think that was 100% the most strategic pre-jury round. Like, that was amazing strategy. Props.
Snaps to you guys. That's right. Yeah. Let's have it. Okay. So now this is where we went into the safety pass off round, the safety chain. Starting out, the chain was Kevin. Kevin saved Lavina. Lavina saved Daniel. Daniel saved Sarah. Sarah saved Dash. Dash saved Hunter. Hunter saved Jaspreet. Jaspreet saved Jacob. Jacob saved Emma. Emma saved Mike. Mike saved Brandon. Brandon saved Taylor. And then finally at the end, the round ended with Geneva being eliminated. She was not saved. Where was everyone leading towards this? I know we already touched a little bit on Dash and Sarah and what led you guys to kind of saving each other. We had a nice little coming together there. But what about for you, Brandon? What about for you, Taylor? Where were your heads at this round?
I was just panicking. I was going to shit myself. I was just running around finding who was available. And I was never, like, Taylor and I had a very early deal. Like, I was never, ever going to not save Taylor. So when she was at the bottom too, I felt great because it was saving somebody that I actually wanted to work with rather than just saving. I mean, granted, saving a random is probably beneficial for a number moving forward, but I wanted to do something for somebody that I wanted to work with extensively. So as soon as it was the 2 of them, it was really no question, which Geneva was so sweet. But I went with Taylor just because we had that pre-existing thing.
And I think this was like, go ahead, Tay.
It's okay.
Go ahead. No, go. Speak.
Okay, that round was just like really stressful. It's so hard because like it really depends on who that wheel sends on and like how that chain starts, whether you're gonna have a stressful round or you're gonna have an easy round. Because had it been somebody that like Daniel or maybe Dash or Brandon or myself or Sarah that had started that round, it would have been a lot less stressful. But with Kevin and I had no relationship, and then he started saving people like Mike and Jacob, and
right.
I'm like, oh fuck, I'm screwed. But thank God, like I said earlier, thank God it was Brandon that got it rather than Geneva, because I think that Geneva wouldn't have picked me and Brandon would have picked me, and he did pick me. So but yeah, it really sucked how the wheel started, and that's really how that round starts off, whether you're gonna have a good one or a bad round.
And that round is crazy skewed because if you get safety in the first 2 or 3, you take the rest of those 10 minutes to literally just build relationships with people.
Yeah.
I saw like I was literally in room 5 with Kevin for 7 minutes, like solidified us working together, started working with Kevin, Lavina, and Daniel, people I had not worked with before at all. And then the final 9 ends up being all of those people and all of these people. Like,
yeah, that round really fucked me. I don't know about you, Brandon, but like because we were so panicked running around rooms, like I didn't connect with anybody that round. The one person that saved me was somebody that I already had a relationship with. So like,
which that round does expose, you know. And granted, I was very intentionally playing a game that was very quiet for the first half until the jury started. But it really gives you an idea of how much social capital you do have, because there's nobody in that first 10 people that was running to me saying, hey, I want to save you. I was literally having to do all the legwork, which really gives you a little bit of a wake-up call if you do want to make an impact in some capacity in the game, to be like, fuck, this isn't going the way that I thought it would, that's where I feel like my switch was, where I wanted to turn it on a little bit.
Well, Brandon,
actually, Dash wanted to say, no, I was just going to say, Dash was like the funniest round because this is the round that led to Emma's demise because Dash was trying to save Brandon so hard. And
Brandon!
Yeah, he was trying to save you. So he had promised Emma to give her the safety as long as she gave it to you. And then, Brandon, you ended up in a room with Emma and Mike, and the 3 of you were like, let's just save each other. So then when she gave it to Mike instead of Brandon automatically, even though Emma knew that Brandon was going to get it next, but Dash was like, Emma, you have betrayed me!
Oh, I didn't know
Even though Dash didn't know that Emma had made the side deal with Brandon and Mike and knew that Brandon was going to get... So Dash was like, dead on arrival. Let me go find her. Funny. He like literally left his room and was like, let me go find Emma right now because she is dead to me. So
I did not know that.
So Emma goes the next round because she didn't save you before she saved Mike, even though she knew Mike was going to save you.
No
because
shit.
Dash was so pissed. It was the downfall of Emma in Dash's rage. Like, he didn't want to hear excuses. He didn't realize that this side alliance had happened. He was just like, done, man.
And you, like, in that round, you cannot go back on a deal. If you're in a room with 4 people and you look like a shady bitch, that follows you. It can get so bad. You can't do that.
Hi, Emma.
Okay, so I just want to address this. So basically, like, me and my room made a deal, like we were all going to give it to each other. But then Emma came to me and Emma was like, I want to give it to you. But I had already promised my room. So I was like, wait, what I can do is basically, before I give it to my room, say you have to give it to Emma once I give it to you. And they agreed. Then you came in the room and you asked me. And then, Brandon, you were somebody who I was also trying to look out for.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you need to go to Emma. You need to go to Emma right now. Like I'll do the same thing. And I basically told Emma, you need to give it to Brandon. And she agreed.
Yeah, right.
So then when she didn't do that, like, even though this was a miscommunication, like, I just, like, we had no way to communicate. I had no way to know that it was a miscommunication. So that is when I was like, I can't trust Emma because I thought I could. So Emma, I know you're in the chat. Love you, queen. But that's why. I was like, oh my God, I can't trust her. She lied to me.
It's not something that I knew until right now. So that's very funny. I mean, maybe like I forgot about it just with all the craziness going on. But yeah, I thought I was just kind of scrambling around to see. I was more focused in that point, like I was just saying, on my game, because I was realizing that this wasn't happening as fast as I thought it would in terms of being in that lineup. Also, I love you, Emma. In the lineup, it didn't feel like I was doing the way that I wanted to be playing. So that's when my like switch was. But that's very funny. I didn't know that at all.
And Brandon, I just want to say like that because of this situation and me like going out of my way and like putting my ass on the line to save you, like it's part of the reason why what happens at Final 6 happens, which I'm sure we'll get to. Yeah. But that will probably help provide some context of why the blow up was so passionate.
Right. We'll get to that. That'll be more fun.
Exactly. Circling back to like Dash saying that he made a deal with his room. I definitely think that that's the way to navigate this round. However, it goes back to like being in a room with a lot of people at the end of a round prior, because that round, it was just Brandon and I starting in a room together. So obviously we were going to save each other, but it was only 2 of us. So we didn't have that time to connect with more people and give us more options and more people to save us. So it just circles back to like always prepare when you think a room is ending. Be in a room with people you're not too sure about, but at least a lot of people.
I mean, I totally got so lucky that Kevin got that safety, because had he not gotten that safety, I wouldn't have ended up making those connections with those 4 people in my room. And obviously there's luck that comes into every game, but like this is a round where Geneva could have gotten the wheel first if it had spun for another second. Like, you don't know.
All too true.
We didn't have that round when we played TR. And honestly, I think I could have
No.
gone because like a lot of my strategy was to be friendly but not best friendsy, and then you would be screwed if you don't have like people who are at least in like a general alliance.
Oh yeah.
For you, so I mean,
I would have been screwed by
You
this
gotta have
round
somebody-
because it took me until this mini watching to understand the rules of this round. So I would have been very confused playing, and I would have been like, what's happening? And I would have stalled, and it would not have been fun.
I was honestly confused why Daniel gave it to me. Like, I would not have given it to him if it was first. Like, I mean, maybe I would have. I was just like very conflicted about it. Like, I know he's in the chat, but like, I could not believe that he gave it to me, and I couldn't believe that Lovina gave it to him before me. It was crazy, stressful.
Geneva was eliminated. In between rounds, Audrey.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, please go for it, Suzi.
I saw Walter that this round is a lot of luck, and so that kind of sucks. And I see that, but it also is it's a round that does a lot for gameplay because it provides us a lot of it reveals a lot of information. So you want to be as neutral as possible playing this round, but like Sarah said, you'd be like, why them before me? Or like Dash said, you went back. So it's a game. It's a round that maybe isn't as much fun because you're like, there's not a lot of strategy here, but it's fun as viewers because we get to watch the players learn things that we already know or misunderstand things. So it's a round that's really revealing, even though it maybe isn't a round that's really strategic.
And I think had I not given safety to Dash, we wouldn't have ended up making Final 2 together. Like, I think that I had to pick between Taylor and Dash were the 2 people that I was going to give safety to, and I thought that Taylor would have understood why I didn't give it to her more, like knowing that I didn't want to be up front, whereas I needed to secure, like, Dash, we are right or ties, like, I'm showing you.
I'm telling you right now, the heart next to your name was huge. Like, you were, like, once you did that, it was like, she has my heart, because, like, I just feel like when your back's against the wall in the game and someone saves you, then it's like you just want to be loyal to that person. So like Sarah, that was a brilliant move by you because I was never turning on you after that.
And Taylor wasn't turning on me anyway, so that's why it came down to that.
One tip for players during this round is, or at least just in general, like take more notes than I did. Like really write things down and write down who's saving who, and like use that time during like voting breaks to really analyze your notes and like theorize and strategize that way. Like I found I got too caught up with like not writing as many notes, and I think it's something that really could have helped, because then like maybe you can interpret or like foresee that Dash and Sarah were going to be as close as they were, and things like that. So I would definitely take more notes if I were to play again.
But it also depends on like who you, like how your memory is. Like I have a really good memory. I didn't feel I needed to take notes. It depends on who you are.
Right.
Like
Could you
how much you can
like,
focus
name the
on.
chain of order?
Like if you can
from start to finish, you could do that.
I mean, not right now, no, because I wasn't paying attention. I didn't care. Like at that point, I was just like wanting to get to know Kevin. He's a cool guy.
I know, but I'm just saying that like it would have helped. It could have helped some people. Like,
yeah, but also like,
interpretations of who's working with who.
At the same time, you don't want to be like that person holding up your notebook. Like I am clearly taking notes.
You don't have to do like write notes like this. Like it's quite easy to like just mark something down on my lap.
Kind of.
I mean, I would have to agree with you. I played 2 minis, and my first time I took virtually 0 notes. I also played virtually 0 game. The second time, I took a lot more notes, and I actually feel like, and I would have to agree with you, Sarah. But for me, as like how I learn a lot better by like writing things down and learning that way. And I felt like taking notes of things throughout the game when I had kind of down moments or like, you know, between rounds, I think it helped me in my own head to kind of like better establish an overarching memory of the game and like a game path that was happening. So it definitely is just how it works for you. However, we have certainly, from an audience perspective, seen people in the chat calling out people for writing novels. And of course, I've heard some players be like, whoa, you write a novel over there. So people do notice it. If you're going to take notes, just be, conspicuous, inconspicuous if you can.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely like writing like paragraphs, like if you could notice, but like writing down like a name after another is something that you could do very like nonchalantly and secretly.
The only thing I wrote down was the people that I voted for that round that comes where you can't vote for anyone you voted for.
So now Geneva was eliminated into this round. Before the next round, Audrey came on to make an announcement about cheaters, about people not cheating and taking too long in room switches. The audience had their theory about what Audrey might be talking about, but does anyone happen to know and want to talk a little bit more about this?
I sure as shit do. You actually, if you go back and you listen to it, so I'm trying to get in as immediately when who gives me safety in that round that I give to
in the safety round?
Mike.
Mike gave you safety.
Mike gives me safety. So I run to go find Taylor. I run to a room that it's just Mike. Mike is giving a solo confessional, and I am in backstage, and I'm not being allowed into the room. And I'm waiting there for like, I guess 10 seconds too long. And then I should have just messaged in the chat, like, I'm trying to get in here. And I don't know like how the mechanics of being a mod is, if you have to let me in if there's only one person in the room. I don't know if you have to do that, in which case then the moderator of that room, it would be on them. But then I immediately went back into another room. So after that, I didn't know that was me until after the game. Then all my friends were like, what were you doing when in that 25-second span?
No, I got warned for that too. But my thing was just like, I was looking for Taylor and Brandon at the end of that round, and I was looking for Dash at the beginning of the round. So if I didn't see them, I just popped right back out, like kept backstage and then kept moving.
Yeah. So for the
Mike's confessional also. We continue to figure out.
So for how for the audience perspective, for people who might not have played a mini or for how it works, I'm going to give it an example right here. We are using the same exact platform that the Sequester Minis use. It's hosted on StreamYard. It's a streaming site. It has a cap of 6 people in a room. 6 guests on today. The person who has the moderator capabilities, which would be the room mods, they are responsible for physically adding a person into a room. So for example, I'm going to remove Dash right now. Dash can still hear us. Dash is in the backstage area right now. So when you join a room, you get added to the backstage area, and it is on the moderator to physically click the button to add you in. So if a moderator is not paying attention, or it could be
there's a lot going on for all.
There's a lot going on. Like, it's a lot to keep track of. So I'm not at all blaming a mod, but try and keep that in mind that there is a lot to keep track of and a lot going on at any given time. Who knows necessarily whose fault it is, but we should.
We'll get to the puzzle. That's the one thing I do blame a mod for. We'll get to the final 5 puzzle later.
And immediately,
I did not read. I was not told that you couldn't use ghost mode or array. I love things like I have been playing orgs for. Like, obviously you fucking use the array in the ghost mode. They didn't tell me you weren't allowed to. Yeah. And some bitch was going on in the chat that I knew the shape of the puzzle. It was obviously a fucking rectangle whether I used ghost mode or not. Like,
on the note of letting people in backstage and stuff, like that's how you can really catch a lot of people, catch people talking. But I got caught or somebody called me up for cheating because they thought that like I like checked the chat to see what room Sarah was in when I was really just sitting backstage in room 1, and I could see Sarah in there. So I was waiting for room 1's mod to let me in. And once he let me in, Sarah had left already. And I was like, fuck, Sarah, like as if you just left when I like was waiting to come in. And somebody thought that like I was cheating and I knew that Sarah was there or something. But like also at the beginning of that round, they said like Sarah go to 1, this person go to 2, this person 3, 4, 5. So I knew what rooms people were in. I wrote it down. So like, I don't know. I was just upset about that because like I know as many viewers, you don't necessarily know how the mechanics of all this works. So now with that example, it's good. But like that's how some people can catch people saying stuff or like can see who's in rooms and stuff. It's because you're sitting backstage physically waiting to get in the room yourself.
The other thing is like people were like, oh, like Taylor's typing. We're going for these LOSs. We have to type. We have to send votes.
I know.
You're looking at the grid to try and find the LOSs to begin with. So
Yeah.
there are things
going
to be looking
on
at.
other than
Yeah, you have
like,
things to click through as well. Like,
and honestly, that's why I kept my hands like this the whole time. People were like, "She's just chilling." I'm like, "No, I'm just showing that I'm not typing. I'm not," because
it's just frustrating because like there's a lot of stuff going on that you don't know until you play a mini and like how to navigate it and stuff.
Sorry, Tiffany.
So like to drag people for that when they don't really know 100% what's going on, like.
In my game last Friday, there was a round where I joined a room and I was backstage for 40 seconds. And I sat there and I listened to the 3 players in the room talking for 40 seconds. And I left the room because I wasn't being added. I never got added. I just said, I'm just going to leave because no one's adding me. Luckily for the players talking, they were people I was somewhat aligned to. So I wasn't necessarily becoming privy to information I shouldn't have been privy to. But it very well could have been someone who was playing against me that now and then I'm hearing all of their game plan and they don't know what's happening. And again, that's just, it's tough.
Were you then like scolded for that, TR, for not being in a?
I wasn't added, but that's what I'm saying. Like I could have been like you, and I could have been scolded, or I could have been called out by the chat. Like, where's TR? He's taking forever. When in actuality, I immediately clicked out. I went into a room, and then I sat there for 40 seconds watching what was happening. So I'm not to blame the mods. I've modded a game before. I know that it's a lot.
I could never. I mean, absolutely not. That is a job that I can.
The other thing is like, this is all on the computer. Like, we would love it to be perfect, but it's not. Computers work slowly. Things overheat. Things shut down. There was a time my room switch was not working, and I texted Audrey. I'm like, I am trying to get into a room. I am not disappearing. It is not working. Like,
yeah, my internet cut out. Not this many, but the last video I played for like a little bit, and it took me a while to get into a room. And I was like, this sucks. Like, I can't. It's my internet. So like. Yeah,
and the same with like technical difficulties. Like Emma's mic wasn't working. Like that sucks. Like none of us want that to happen, and none of us want to cheat either.
And I liked Emma a lot. I wanted her mic to work because people were saying that's a reason to get her out. And I was like, no, let's not get out Emma. Emma's fun. Emma was apparently taking shots of Fireball. My friend told me, which is very funny.
She was. We cheers.
That really pissed me off about the Sharifa mini because there were so many people accusing her of cheating because she got added to the jury chat accidentally. It's like, that is not her fault. Don't come for trans excellence.
And the other thing is like, obviously we have to be on Skype. Like, if you're watching the mini, stop messaging us on Skype. We're not going to look at it. Like, don't message me LOS. Like, I don't want to cheat. I'm not looking at your Skype. Just like, love you, but stop.
Respect the game.
Yeah, the way my...
Meanwhile, I do want to cheat, and nobody's ever sent me. So
I got you next time, girl. I got you a winner's award. Sorry, Dash.
Ooh, yikes.
Wait, I missed that shade.
I'm rooting for Rory. Team Rory.
Really?
That's my best friend.
No, I love Rory.
We're gonna have to start placing bets.
I don't really know him, but I loved him on his mini. He was drunk, so we're in the drunk winners club together.
Are we doing like a winners at war bingo? That's what I really want. So like, you know what I mean? Like
Dash cries.
Dash says gay right. Dash cry.
Dash can't complete a puzzle.
Maybe we need a Dash bingo. Dash gets his own.
Dash says gobsmacked.
Bingo.
Dash calls a girl a queen.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that one's definitely getting checked off quick.
Dash's mom says something from the other room, and he has to mute in the middle of a monologue.
Dash gets a straight male's name wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just goodbye.
Somebody...
Thank you for having me. No, I'm just kidding.
I love it. Yes. I'm excited to see it. Let's keep thinking of other winners.
Dash threatens to drag every single person at Final Four.
Every single person, and swears that his word is a bond.
Dash pretends to play an LOS on Jacob.
Get there.
Well, after
Dash puts a target on someone else. Yeah, on accident.
I hope someone in the audience is making this card right now. You're getting lots of great stuff to go off of.
Oh my god, I'm a complete train wreck. Thank you.
You're a game changer.
You're a good sport, Dash. So after our cheating scandal for this game, every good mini has one, you know. After that, we went into round 8 with a round that I was not personally familiar with. I don't know if anyone who's been watching the games for much longer has seen it before, but it was the touchy subjects round. which was very interesting. All of the remaining players, all 12 of them, were divided into 2 rooms, 6 players apiece. Round 1 was Emma, Daniel, Kevin, Hunter, Lavina, and Jacob. Room 2 was Jaspreet, Mike, Dash, Taylor, Sarah, and Brandon. So a great group. We're all here right now. And if I'm to understand the mechanics of this game correctly, you couldn't hear the other room when they were giving their answers, right? Only what Audrey summed up for you, right?
The only thing I would say before we talk about this round, because I saw people talking about it in the chat, we definitely had an advantage because we could think about our answers for longer. If they were to do this again, I would go give a question to 1, they respond, give a question to 2, then 2 gets it first, and then 1. Then 1 gets it first, and then 2. It didn't ruin the mini, of course, but like it was just something that was getting thrown out.
Yeah, no, it was definitely the first time I've seen it, but it was so fun because we couldn't hear what they were saying at all. We only heard like, okay, now it's your turn, and then that person would go in our room, and then she was like, this person said this, and this person said this, and now it's the next question. That's all we could hear. But I don't know, it was lighthearted fun. Like I feel like watching Sequester 3, like the live version, it was like nasty but like drama filled for the viewers, and it was good. But like my experience in this was like more like lighthearted, and it was around that like I could just like be a mess because everyone was being a mess. So
this was a round where we really saw like the drag play a huge role, because that room was so afraid of the drag, they didn't even want to talk shit about the people in that room, and they didn't think about the fact that the audience wanted the messiness. We wanted to hear y'all talk shit. So that room was so afraid of the drag that they overplayed because they were just too nice. They were just, Jacob was the only one that was like trying to talk shit at any point. Ray Ann is a queen. Love. Can't wait for her to come back and play again and see her at Winners at War. But anyway, so yeah, so this was a game. This was when we see the drag scare people into playing bad because they just didn't want to get dragged. And
I think we all knew that it wasn't serious in our room. Like I was talking shit about Mike, and then I went into the room with Mike, and I was like, that was just for the ratings. He was like, of course. Like, I think we were all on the same page. Like, it's all for ratings.
I had to explain. Like, Jaspreet, I think, actually thought that I thought that of him. And
I thought that you thought that.
Yeah, no, we had a moment like where it was just us two, or there was one other person, and like I was just like, no, like this is what the viewers want. They want to see us like face to face, have an interaction of somebody dragging you, and so that's why I picked you. It's because like it just makes it entertaining, and it's a vote at the end of the day. So,
and it was a landslide. We killed it.
Our room really killed it. I was really
killed it. But we also had all the personalities in one room. That was.
It's true. From what I read this morning, the only good answer from room 1 was Jacob, who said something about me. I don't know what the context of it was, and I still haven't been able to. I didn't watch the rest of it this morning, but when I read back in the chat, everybody was like, "Oh, Brandon's game's tanking," and then all my friends were texting me after I read it and saying, "Like, you're gonna be fucked," mid game. Which that was, again, hearing that is like, wow, my game's not doing too well, so you got to pick that shit up.
Here's the thing, though, like. That was our experience with it. I want to see what happens in a future mini when they do this again. And for those that like have seen us do it and drag people and successfully do it, like what if it's both sides are dragging the people in their room, and then the audience has to pick somebody, and then you're left with a room of people that just drag each other, and then it's a drag round, and then I want to see that so bad.
And I think also just because I don't think room 1 from the comments that I reading knew like how to play it or what was going on. Like I thought they were just like playing touchy subjects like as you would play it in an org, like with serious answers and like being like real about it. Like I don't know. Yeah. So
some examples of oh yeah, go ahead, Suzi. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was. You know what? I already lost it. Go ahead.
I was gonna just say some of the examples of some of the questions that were asked. We had who was the biggest floater? Emma said Jaspreet. Jaspreet said Hunter at that point. Who's the least trustworthy? Daniel said Mike. Mike said you, Taylor. Who will win this game if we don't stop them right now? Kevin said Taylor. Dash said Daniel. Who is the fakest person? Hunter said Mike. Taylor, you said Jaspreet. Who is not smart enough to maneuver the final 4? Lavina said Mike. Sarah said Mike. Mike's getting a lot in this. Who would you eliminate right now? Jacob said Brandon, and Brandon, I believe you said Hunter. Is that correct?
I did say Hunter, yeah.
You said she was a waste of space.
I did, and I felt horrible. And then, so I get out in the thing, and then I'm like, oh shit, she could drag me. So I like apologize.
No, she couldn't.
And then she couldn't. So I was like, fuck that. Sorry.
I think Daniel was trying to convince us that we could have been dragged. I was like, no, none of us could be dragged. Or like, maybe he was confused, but he had said.
I was convinced that was, if we vote for Hunter, I was getting dragged. I didn't hear that in the rules. Which it was said because everybody else knew it, but I just missed
it. I told Kevin to go throw Emma under the bus to get Hunter to drag her. I was like, go tell Hunter that Emma's pushing her name.
I feel like this is the round where, like, when you're in your two rooms, that Brayden's strategy of just getting, like, naked maybe would help. Like, we saw Brayden taking off his shirt last many for all of us viewers. So I'm sure that would be it. I'm just some hints for future minis.
No, I'm pretty sure I did.
You did. Delete that from the live stream. From the rewatch, please.
So the audience ended up voting on who to save that round. They voted you guys. So that puts room one up for elimination. Emma, Daniel, Kevin, Hunter, Lavina, and Jacob with a drag at the end. Emma was eliminated. Hunter was dragged. Was Emma the clear target going into that with them all being up for elimination, or how did we get to that point? And was anyone worried about being dragged when we were reaching the Emma target?
We couldn't be dragged.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, then you wouldn't worry about it. So.
I was worried about being dragged, even though I couldn't be dragged. But
there you go.
For a reason.
I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, this round for me was like just hoping that, because you're eliminating two people. So, and I was like, I just voted and I couldn't get dragged.
Was this the last round before jury?
No, that was 10. It was before jury.
Was this 12?
This was
12. Yes, correct.
12 to 10. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is a good round to like really bring down the numbers and bring in people into your final 10 that like have your back. So with Hunter and Emma, like they were kind of like wild cards for me. Emma and I had that like Ontario connection, but like we didn't talk a lot in the game. And Hunter and I talked a little bit at the beginning, but not in the mid section of the game. So for me, it was two people that like brought me to final 10 where I had like 7-ish people that had my back.
This was perfect for me. Literally the same thing that Taylor said, because all the people that I either had connections or was targeting went out. I think with the exception of Jacob, like I think he was the other person that was like off the radar for me. Love him. Didn't know that we've known each other for 2 years. I did not recognize him or know that who he was, but that was funny.
I want to say, like, basically, I think that I am part of the reason Emma went home, but I don't think I actually ended up voting Emma because basically we actually ended up hashing out the miscommunication. And she was like, oh, no. Like me, Mike, and Brandon were in the room. And I just gave it to Mike to give it to Brandon. And then afterwards I was like, oh, fuck. I already just painted
I voted Emma.
Target on your back. Basically, I thought you were a snake, so I was telling everyone you're a snake. And then I realized, oh, wait, this is a miscommunication. So I'm pretty sure I voted Lavina because, as y'all know, I was intimidated by her power.
It's funny you say that because I thought that I had started the Emma vote, I think just with a different group of people also.
I think you said it in our room right before we left. You were like...
Right, I said, let's just do it. Because her and I were closely aligned at that point. Emma, I forgot she's watching this. I love you so much. But it was a point of, like, I wanted to start cutting people that I thought would be good at the end. And I thought she was getting through a lot of votes. Audrey, I love you. She was getting through a lot of votes and had good capital at the end. So this started, the Brandon resurgence that quickly tanked in a couple rounds, but we'll get there.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because Brandon was like, I think we should get out Emma. And Dash was like, yes, she is a snake. He was like, all this passion had built up in Dash. And then we had this round where like you could start talking shit. And he was like, that was the like beginning of the Dash like peak. Like that's when he started climbing. Like Audrey opened.
I think that's when he hit his tolerance.
And Dash
as well.
was like running. He was like, he said, "You said be messy." He said, "You said be messy, Audrey. Here we go." And he was just messy every round after that.
And I think that's the round when girls started going out back to back to back. And then it was just me, Taylor, and Lavina, because I said at 14 we had 7, and then just the 3 of us. And that actually made me feel more comfortable, because guys who want to pander to girls are always like, let's keep all the girls in. Like, Brandon, you said it. Dash, you said it. Like, so it probably put us in a better position that 2 of the girls went home.
4, Nicole, Geneva, Emma, Hunter, and back to back.
Absolutely.
Wait, you're saying I wanted to protect all the girls? That's like so unlike me.
Shut up.
I
know you didn't want to keep the girls. You wanted to keep the queens.
I do. Like, that's like my brand, because I if I was to go on a real, if I was to go on Big Brother, for example,
When you go on Big Brother,
100%. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if I can't win, like, we need a queen to win, and that's on period. And that can be a boy too. Like, I'm totally open to all genders, but like, you need to be a boss bitch if you're gonna win my season, okay? And
that's why we voted you at 4. There was no way you were dragging me or Taylor.
No,
Brandon's basic BDS.
Dragging the 2 of you either. There was no way.
I know, that's why it was a perfect 4 had it not gone to wheel.
We will get there, because we'll get there. There's so much to be said.
So much.
Sorry in advance to anyone who's here for the 3-hour podcast. Strap in. It's worth it.
Are we the most talkative cast?
I love it. I have no problem with it. I'm
Leo energy.
I'm available right up until tonight's mini starts. So whatever it takes.
Leo energy all day, every day.
Hope y'all have your power bars ready. We got caffeine. We're just gonna be here. We'll keep going through the mini. We'll just mute during the gameplay, talk shit during the voting breaks.
I should get a drink.
Actually, we're gonna continue on through the mini and give our own thoughts as it goes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're like RHAP over here for sure.
Survivor specialists.
Emma was eliminated. Hunter was dragged. That brought us down to 10 players left in the game. Round 9, our button twist. The players were presented with a button, red or green button. They could anonymously message Audrey to choose which button they'd like to press. If they chose the green button,
you hit the red.
It would be a normal round.
Oh, yeah.
If the red button was chosen, a twist would ensue. And as we've just found out, Taylor pressed the red button. Did anyone else press the red button?
3 people pressed it.
3 people pressed it.
I didn't, but I knew Taylor would, so it didn't matter.
I didn't press it.
So my thoughts on this round is someone is always going to push the red button. Every single time I play, someone pushes the red button. So might as well fucking be entertaining and push that red ass button and try to navigate the round as a disaster, because I'm a disaster anyways. So whatever. And yeah, it ended up working.
My thing is, I knew Taylor was going to push it. So if they exposed who pushed it, it would have been pushed anyway, which I would have preferred, because it's easier to stay safe in a more chaotic round. So I wanted it pushed, but because I knew Taylor was pushing it, I knew I didn't have to push it myself. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Wait, what was the red button twist? I literally don't even remember.
It was the person with the second most amount of votes goes home, and we sent Jessica.
Yeah, I hated that.
So well, because people were wanting to vote me that round. So I was like, perfect, this is great. Red as fuck, Audrey.
Yeah, I forget what I even did. I know I was not even a little bit involved with the vote. I did not vote for.
Well, your name was getting tossed out this round by Daniel, because I was in a room with Daniel, and we had said split the vote. 2 people vote the same way, and Daniel was like, Sarah and I will vote together, and I was like, okay, throw out a name. I didn't want to throw out a name at Final 10 with jury next. And I think this is around the round I got my LOS as well, but he threw out your name, and then I obviously didn't vote for you, but I did vote for you, actually.
Did you? No,
I voted for you.
It worked out.
Green LOS. Brandon, yeah, this was the round I got my LOS, but I did vote for you because it was the second most votes, so it didn't matter.
It was a toss-up. I forget who I voted for. I should actually look.
I think Kevin, Taylor, Daniel, and I might have split the vote 2-2 between you and Jaspreet, but then someone else had voted for you. I think Jacob had voted for you. Oh. It was a mess, but it worked out.
I voted for Kevin this round.
Okay.
I don't know who I voted, but I know. Oh, sorry.
Go check.
I'm gonna check, but I know for damn sure it was not just Brady. I was gobsmacked when he went home too, and I had a good relationship with Jaspreet. We were working together pretty well, so I was definitely.
We could have been the final 4, room 4. Like, I think I was down with that.
Yeah, that starting room was such a
plus.
good room. It made my heart happy. It really did. But yeah, it sucked. I did not expect Jaspreet to go home that round. I didn't vote for him. I knew his name was going around, but I didn't think it was the most. And yeah, I voted Kevin. Sorry, Kevin. I voted Kevin like 5 times this game.
I voted Kevin the first round and then never again, except for 5.
I voted him too. I'm double checked.
That's a lie, Sarah. You voted Kevin at 5.
I just said Kevin the first round and at 5.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Oh yeah, sorry. We were down with you too.
I was my buddy.
And according to the chat, like Jaspreet had my back 100% from what I was reading through. Like the chat was like Sarah Jaspreet final 2. I never said that, like, but like if he was gonna be like that, bet.
Yeah, he's a king, fallen king.
Those vibes in that room.
Yeah, he had to
Taylor was reading her stupid bottle, and then everyone else started reading.
Well, I didn't notice that you guys were watching me. But
I was crying. That was so funny.
You were listening to music, vibing.
I think
I was singing.
The final 9 round where Mike goes, the vote for somebody you haven't voted for before. I feel like that was the most uneventful round. I feel like we were all just like, okay, Mike, and
we were like, Mike.
Jaspreet leaving, that brought us to the 9 players left. Couldn't vote for who you voted for. For some people, this could definitely be a really stressful round. For a lot of people, it's a boring round if you've had a healthy amount of action your way. What were your guys' thoughts during this round? Was Mike the clear-cut target?
Always. Yeah. Like literally since the round started for me, it was Mike, because Mike was the only one actively throwing out my name left in the game. And I knew that a lot of people hadn't voted for him. Like, his name was going around, but he always deflected that target, which is a good player in my opinion. But so that round was very easy for me. And I think I don't know who I started in the room with, but definitely Sarah.
It was me, you, Kevin, and Daniel.
Yeah,
and we said Mike.
And then we all spread out and it was Mike.
And the other thing is, if you're for future players, you definitely want to keep track of who you're voting for. But in this round, don't tell everybody who you haven't voted for. Right. Like, don't be like, I haven't voted for Brandon, I haven't voted for Taylor, because then those are the names that they'll push because they think that a lot of there's that. And if you can consistently vote for the same people so that you have more options. Like there were only 3 people that I couldn't vote for at Final 10, and it was Brandon, Lavina, and Kevin.
Pretty sure mine was Lavina and Jacob. I only had 2, and Kevin, 3. So it literally keeps track of who you're voting. There's rounds where you think you need to throw a hinky vote, try to throw a hinky vote on one of the people you've already voted for to prepare yourself for this round, because it really can get difficult. Or make sure you're voting a majority, because then that person's already gone anyways. So.
This is a round where you also have to play a little hard if you feel like you've been playing under the radar, because this is the round where you'll go. And Mike was not doing that. Mike was like in rooms by himself a lot. And I was like, Mike, it's you, bro. Go.
That's why I wanted to be the first. I wanted to be the first one in that round. I wanted to be the first one in that group, in at least the room that I was in, to just shout Mike. So it could be like, if I were to be in the final 2, that's just a move that I can have, like, even if other people were saying it in other rooms, just to be like, I said Mike in this time. And
I did the same thing. I think that was the first round I was very vocal about a vote because I knew it was going, so it didn't matter.
There was no dragging either.
Yeah, that should have been a drag round.
Yeah.
At that point, I had Emma. Emma was my first one, and then I had Mike for this one as well. And then the final 8 is where this is where it gets fun.
It gets interesting.
The good shit happens.
2 hours into our podcast.
Yeah, I would.
It gets interesting.
Now we start to heat up here.
Okay, but like that's when you know that this mini was a good fucking mini. Is if we can actively talk about each round, and there's so many elements to each round. I didn't read the comments back, but I had so much fun playing this just because it was a fun group of people.
And the other thing is, like, I think taking out Mike left so many big personalities and big players in this game that it made the end game, like at the end game, usually everybody has their own plan. And I think we all had our own plans, but our own plans were so not in tune with one another. Like, Taylor was telling me, like, let's get rid of Dash. I'm like, no, Dash is in our final 4. Like, what?
We'll talk about it later, but you really could have gotten 5th or 6th because of me. So, if Sarah was me.
This was my ideal final 4 from, like, jury on. I was like, this is perfect. Taylor and I are not getting dragged. bad. And then Taylor's like, we're getting rid of Dash, we're keeping Kevin. And this morning, Kevin tells me that he probably would have dragged Brandon and it would have worked out too. And I'm like, damn.
I was drawing dead for a while, but my ideal Final Four, which was, I guess this is what I pitched. I pitched this at Final 8. I say, do I think you, Sarah? Let's get, because I'm tethered with you. Or maybe I said.
And I said, what's the end game plan? Because we hadn't talked long term until we were tethered together.
Right. And I wanted you and Taylor and Lavina in the Final Four.
What do you think happens in that scenario?
I pray.
I know Lavina voted me.
I think Lavina votes Taylor. The three of us vote Lavina. Lavina drags Taylor, and then you lose to me.
Right, but I was getting the Final 2. I don't think my end goal was Final 2.
Sorry, I'm an asshole.
No, that's fine. But I would have liked to have argued in the Final 2, and that was my way to get there. Like, I knew in this 4 I was not getting there. So I wanted to push for that. And then I heard this morning that Lavina went to Dash and said all of that. And that's what, from my estimations, caused the Final 6 thing to happen. Because, yeah.
Well, I felt bad.
Oh, my God. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I felt bad because literally at the beginning of the tether round, I was in a room with Lavina by ourselves. And we had just started to, I think she was literally about to ask me for a Final 2. And then the round cut off. And then we couldn't talk. And then we were in a room alone. And the first thing she said when we could talk was, I want to target Taylor, which is like death sentence with me. Yeah. So that's why it happened that way.
Absolutely.
Wait, was round 8 the tether round? Is that what we're?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we yada over that, but that was the Daniel exit.
No, it was. Oh yeah, it was Daniel.
I think that was the one that I felt the best at. Like that's what I thought.
I want to know what happened with that revote because I was sitting in a room with Dash shitting my pants that he was going to vote the other way.
I still voted.
So we
voted for Daniel, but Dash was like, Lavina has to go. Lavina has to go. And Lavina's like, I'm voting Taylor no matter what. So I know they're not a factor. Mike was with Jacob, I guess. I don't know why they didn't vote together. But at the end of the day, the only pairs that were voting together were me and Brandon and Dash and Kevin. But Kevin didn't want Lavina to go. Kevin wanted Daniel to go because the 3 was me, Kevin, and Lavina. So when I get into a room with Brandon, we're like, Daniel, lock it down. And then I guess watching the feeds back, Brandon had told Dash that we voted Lavina when we didn't. So Kevin voted Lavina on the first vote, but on the revote, I popped into a room with Brandon and Kevin, and Brandon was like, flip, like Dash isn't going to flip. I was like, no, it doesn't fucking matter. If Brandon and I vote the same way and Kevin votes different from Dash, we're good. Their votes don't count, and it's 2-0. But if they do vote the same way, then Daniel still goes home 4-0. It doesn't make a difference.
My biggest tip to anybody listening who's going to play this is be better at like math as a whole. Like just I could not do numbers in my head. Like I was just confused with the mechanics. I was just having a fun time. But that was the Daniel round. I mean you and I, to a lesser extent, I executed it perfectly.
Perfect.
I had the idea and then you executed it, which is ideal.
So this is where to unravel, and because I wanted Daniel to stay,
a little bit.
You were lying to me. I thought it was clear cut Lavina was going, and then it ties, and then Kevin's ass, who was tethered to me, flipped his vote, and then Daniel went out, which is then what leads to the next round, me and Lavina basically aligning, and I just like came clear with her, and she's the one who spilled the tea about Brandon being a rat, and then from there, that's where it's just like this is where shit just starts to really.
I thought that was truly the weirdest move the entire game when Lavina voted for her tether partner.
Yeah,
what the hell? Because that's one thing I want to talk about is this. It's so good to get allies on your side, especially at Final 8. Like, if you haven't really been talking to somebody like me and Lavina, we could have voted together and made a bond that would have lasted like throughout probably the rest of the game. And at Final 8, you need allies. You need people on your side. So, like, I would give the advice to people to work with your tether and try to, like, even if you haven't spoken with them, try to at least work with them because you need people on your side at that point.
And I think had Brandon and I not been tethered, we don't make Final 4 together because we had not had an endgame plan until that moment.
No endgame plan, absolutely not.
Right.
I wanted to still be at the Final 4 with you, but we did not have that.
We didn't communicate it. And, like, that's what happened with me and Kevin at the end. He didn't communicate anything to me, so I voted him out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, my ideal Final 4 was you guys, which Lavina went and told Dash that, which is.
And the moments that you're in.
Me.
What's that?
Lavina.
Instead of me.
You're not you're no longer there, because I thought the biggest threats to win were you and Daniel. Once Daniel's gone,
and Taylor,
attention turned to you and Taylor. Yes, like I wanted to boom, 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 which Sarah definitely would have won at the end still, but I wanted to plow through the people that I thought were the biggest.
And the other thing to say about that is if like you're ever in a room by yourself with a person for 30 seconds, for 7 minutes, make a deal with that person immediately. Dash, we were in a room together, 20 seconds, ride or die. Brandon, endgame. Taylor, I have an LOS. I love you. Like, period. Take those moments, like when you're in a room together with someone, doesn't matter who it is, get them to have your back 100%.
And make it seem genuine too. Like you can have a conversation with somebody and make it seem genuine, and you can have a conversation with someone and it comes across so fake, and you're like, I just want to get out of this. Yeah. And like that person leaves the room, and I remember like talking to my confessionals, was like, that was fake as fuck. So like really practice on like being genuine with people, and like I don't know, complimenting their beanie. Wow, Brandon, love that brown beanie of yours. Like, or just like be nice.
Dash told me we had a spiritual connection.
Like things like that.
Here's
Like,
the thing.
I talk star signs.
If you have to be fake, if you're not good at being genuine, be fake anyway. At least give someone the pretense that y'all are in like an alliance. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Joey Lawrence on like BB Celebrity when he was like, I don't do alliances. I'm like, cool, easy out. Like, you have to at least keep up the pretense that like, you know, we're gonna work together. Like, don't give people the excuse. Have the respect to lie to their face. Okay.
Also, like, if you like, I saw like Brandon and Taylor were like, "What's your favorite color?" Like stupid shit like that. Like people will be like, "Oh, like they actually like want to talk to me." Like I was like, "Oh, Kevin, you dance? Like tell me about that." Like I didn't give a fuck in the context of the game, but then Kevin became my rider. Like he was not going for me.
The reason why Brandon and I talked about like our favorite colors, well, it wasn't me trying to get to know Brandon. It was literally like I already feel so genuine with Brandon that like if somebody walks into on a conversation that we're having that's like really good and strategic, we're fucked. So let's just talk about random shit like animals and colors, so that if somebody comes in, they're like, oh, these people like don't really care about each other. They're just talking about colors.
Exactly.
We had plenty of that in the influencer game. Most of them spent a great deal of time talking about Animal Crossing. Yeah. It was probably good for social bonding, not always great for the audience, but you always got to toe that line when you're a mini player, you know? So in the final 8, the tether round vote happened. If I'm to understand correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the tethers were Dash and Kevin, Daniel and Jacob, Sarah and Brandon, and Taylor and Lavina. Is that right? Or okay.
Yeah.
So then there was the vote. There was a Daniel Lavina tie. There was a revote. Daniel was eliminated.
Kevin flipped on the revote to make it their vote not count, so it was 2-0.
That was a perfect round for me, to be honest, because like Daniel was really coming after me, but I didn't vote for Daniel, and I couldn't vote for Daniel in the revote because
yeah, so, Lavina, the 2 people who got votes were the people who were throwing out Taylor's name. Like,
I mean.
Yeah, that round was really like hard for me because I love Daniel so much and I just respect him so much as a player in person. I was really trying to protect him, and once he went home, I was like, "Oh, I'm fucked," and that's where I started to feel my back's really against the wall. So this is where it's starting to boil more at this point. To be continued.
Yeah, and I think everyone at that point had like when it came to threat management, the people who were thought of as the biggest threats were Dash, Daniel, Taylor, and Kevin, I would say. Like, I mean, maybe Lavina, like Dash had it out for her. I didn't really think she was a huge threat to win, but like the difference between like the people that Taylor, like who were throwing out Taylor's name and the people who were throwing out Daniel's name is like Taylor made an effort to be social with people so that I was protecting her. Brandon was protecting her. Like, people were protecting their threat, and like she was just the one we chose to protect.
Yeah, and I saw this question in the chat earlier on, and like in minis I like flop every single time I'm pre-jury. Like I don't do well, like it sucks. But like, and they asked me about like my strategy from like before and after, and honestly, like I just like being a mess. Like I like drama, I like yelling at people and doing random shit because at the end of the day, like we're here to have fun, and like winning is a bonus. But like I was flopping so many times and I was like, maybe I'll just chill this time. Maybe I'll chill. I'll try to be social with people. I'll get to know them. And that's what happened, was that like I just made sure that I was like keeping in the people that I was putting an effort with and making sure the people that I went home without like having to advocate push for anybody really. Except for Mike. I was very
when you have a big name and a big personality, like that's the difference between the way Taylor played and the way Daniel played and why they went out in the places that they did. Because Daniel came off very like, I'm throwing out names, like let's do this, we're doing this, lock it down, like shut it up, like period. Whereas Taylor was more like agreeable, like calm about it. And Daniel can't lie for shit. It's all over his face.
Hey, I have a question that like it's just so for me, I thought I saw this in the chat too, which was people thought Kevin went kind of far for how he was playing, which was kind of not that aggressively, and also like he didn't have a lot of social. I mean, he was doing the dancing and stuff like that, and he was very attractive, those kinds of things. But I don't think anybody who was watching really thought of Kevin as a threat. Like, and so I really want to know why y'all did, because I didn't think of Kevin as a threat. Like,
Yeah,
when he went,
my thing
so
was
can
like,
y'all explain that to me?
I mean, they're all saying they didn't. My thing was like, if you had to use an LOS to save yourself round 1 and you make it to the end, like you did something right. Like,
yeah,
period.
But like my perception on the cast at that point was that like not a lot of people had Kevin's back, and like so he was gonna be a boot like more towards the end, but not before.
My thing was if Lavina went at 7, which is why I pushed for her, I was Kevin's number 1. Like my goal at the end was to have everybody remaining with me as their number 1. I think with the exception of Brandon, who was Taylor's number 1, like Dash had my back 100%, Taylor had my back 100%, and Kevin had my back 100% in the final 5. So that's why Lavina had to go at 7 and Jacob had to go at 6. Like, I don't know.
See, I think that Kevin played a good game in like positioning wise and stuff, and going from like almost first boot to there. But like, what I'm interested to know, like, if he had made final 2, what his case would have been, other than that like one story arc. Like, he didn't really push names. He didn't make a lot of big moves or anything like that. So like that's why he wasn't a threat to me.
And I found in the ones that I've watched is that the pre-jury does not matter, which is like I took the pre-jury as a vacation in this one. I was just fucking around singing in confessional. Like I just picked up towards the end, because if Kevin's move at the final 2 is I saved myself the first round, like sure, but then what did you do in between the 13 rounds in between there? You know, so I think that in terms of his threat level, I didn't think that he was even a little bit of a threat. I think he played a very similar game to what I think I was doing in terms of just kind of hanging, but he didn't have the resume and the people that like he can't point to certain people and say I got blank, 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 and blank out. So I feel like he got there, but what did he do? In the interim. But I heard he danced, which is exciting. I missed that.
So yeah, in the punishment round, which we were brought into, the final 7 deadly sins.
Josh and I were sitting in that room together praying.
We had the wheel. Wheel determined your fates. You either had a punishment or didn't. Two lucky players did not. But the punishments were Lavina had to curl her upper lip for the whole round. Taylor was imprisoned to one room. Sarah
had to talk in third person.
There you go. Fantastic. Great job. Kevin was muted the whole time, and he whipped out his mask for that. Okay. Dash had to quack like a duck when he wasn't speaking, which led to some pretty iconic moments that was heavily quoted on Twitter. And Brandon and Jacob had no punishments. That was the round. And that resulted... it was I will say, from an audience perspective, it was very, very funny to watch you, Sarah, and you, Dash, in rooms together. And you guys are like reconnecting and you're like, quack, quack, bitch. Yes, bitch. It's us. Quack, bitch. Like, it was.
He's like, Sarah is an asshole. And Sarah agrees. And Sarah is used to talking in third person because Sarah likes to be condescending.
And so it was such a fun and lighthearted. Like, once again, it just brings like fun elements to the game. Like, yes, it can be like kind of scary for some people. Like for me, like not being able to leave room 1. Luckily, people came to me, which is weird. I would have literally just isolated.
Like, Taylor is fucked. Like, leave Taylor alone and vote her out.
Yeah, why wouldn't you all just like go to a different room and not go to room 1? I don't know. Whatever. It worked for me, but like, yeah, it brings it fun.
That was the time that I thought that we could have made the move and we could have gotten Dash out there. So I immediately ran to you after I talked to Lavina in the one, because I was with Lavina when we got the punishments dished out. So then I tried to find Sarah too, but then Lavina, this is when the.
And I think maybe I was a little too focused on making sure I wouldn't have gotten dragged at 4 rather than would I have won in the final 2, because I was just keeping the people around, getting rid of the people who were going to vote me or Taylor out. Like, that was my only concern by 8. When Lavina threw out Taylor's name, bye. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
And I don't even think Lavina would have voted for me, like, moving forward. But, like, I'm a loyal bitch.
My influence.
So this round for, like, I just want to say, like, basically the round before, I knew that Kevin was not to be trusted. He was definitely on my shit list after he flipped on Daniel. Then Lavina was like, sis, I've been hearing that you're throwing out my name. And I love confrontational players. Like, I live for the drama. We need to feed the children. Like, I'm sorry. Like, people want a show. Just give them a motherfucking show. And all you haters in the chat are like, the people hating on me, like, you're basic as fuck. Like, I gave you good TV. Okay? So what? Like, I'm sorry. Villain, hero, a little bit of both, bitch. I gave you good motherfucking TV. So, bitch, go watch Barney and Friends if you want to watch it without any fucking tea. Okay? Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, so
We love you guys.
ass haters. I'm a badass bitch and I have a fucking crown, okay? Period.
And here's the we talked about it earlier in the podcast where, like,
and guess what? You can call me Jersey Trash. I think it's funny.
I think the weird thing about this round, though, is that I was targeting Lavina, but I never heard or saw her in the round at all, trying to convince me to go for someone else. Like, literally the whole round, I did not see her once, and I think maybe it's because she was fighting with Dash the whole time, which, like, thanks, Dash.
Yeah, well, she never came in room 1 either, but I think that's because she was
That's 'cause you were
targeting
there,
me.
yeah.
So.
Right. And
Yeah.
like, we were in the same room, so I initially opened up that deal. I was like, if you want to do 4 right now, I know that Sarah and Taylor will both do it. And then she did not. She was not interested.
Well, I was in the room with Dash at the beginning, and he was like, L, and I was like, perfect, I'll go tell Taylor and Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay, basically when Lavina confronted me, I was like standing so hard because, like, I already like was like a fan in disguise of Lavina. Like, I wanted her out because I saw her winning, but I was like still a stan. Like I thought she was a boss player personally.
Lavina, I love you. I Skyped you, and you didn't hit me back, and it hurts.
And when she, she clocked me. When you were like, bitch, you're coming after me, I was like, well, I'm down to go after Kevin. And basically you told me that Brandon was after me. And then when you said, let's vote Kevin, I was like, done. And I was down to like.
Did you vote Kevin?
I did vote Kevin that round.
Okay, so me, Brandon, Taylor, and Kevin voted Lavina? Yeah.
I believe so.
I voted Lavina.
We definitely voted Lavina, the 3 of us. Was there 4 or was 3 majority? Who did Jacob vote? I don't know.
Because I was kind of like,
you might have voted Lavina.
I need options, and she may beat me at the end, but it's better than not getting to the end, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I voted for Kevin this round.
You voted Kevin when Lavina left?
Let me look.
Because who voted Lavina other than me and Taylor? I think Kevin did.
I
Because at
definitely
the
did.
end, Taylor, Kevin, and I were in that room together.
And Dash.
What?
Dash voted Lavina as well.
No, he said no. He voted
I voted
Kevin.
with Lavina the round she went out. I voted her like.
You went out 2-1 to 1 to 1 to 1.
No,
I voted her because in the round she goes out, I voted with her.
Well, Lavina, Kevin, and Jacob, if you're in the chat, let us know who you voted for.
I voted
Yeah,
for
that's a mystery.
banking on
Must have been Jacob.
like I wanted the 4 to work, my 4. So I thought that was still happening. So I just threw out Kevin because I knew that you guys weren't voting for Dash at that point.
Taylor, it's literally
Yeah.
5 o'clock and you started drinking.
Okay, I'm being dragged. What the hell? This is my podcast too, bitch.
That's great. Well, the final 7 punishment round ended with Lavina being eliminated. We're still waiting to see if anyone's going to clarify in the chat who voted for who. Maybe we'll find out. Oh, Lavina is saying this.
Maybe it was Audrey. Maybe
It was
Audrey
certainly
Harvey
plot.
that got Lavina out.
Queen.
Lavina didn't vote Kevin, so that's why it didn't tie.
Vita's fucking message was so funny. That was the second round. She thought that everyone was just voting me, so she's like, "Fuck it, I'll vote Taylor."
I thought I told Lavina that I wouldn't vote for Taylor. Maybe I agreed to it, but I don't remember. I don't. Bleh.
We moved into final 6. This was the rumor has it round, or as Gabe Ruiz here calls, crazy gameplay from Dash moving forward.
Wait, I just want to know real quick. What was everyone's rumors? I said that Kevin had an LOS because I thought it was believable with him having the first one.
Dash has my final 4 with Kevin, Taylor, and Jacob.
I said that Dash was going to win if we didn't get him out. And then Dash won because we didn't
so foreshadow.
Pretty good rumor.
Dash, what did you say?
I said that Brandon was targeting Taylor and Kevin because at that point I did not trust Brandon at all after the information that Queen Lavina had told me. So I was like, this hoe needs to go.
Okay.
And try and get
I would have never believed that rumor though, because Brandon, I'm in love with him.
Kevin was the one who he told me this morning. Kevin clogged Taylor and I. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
There was also the rumor that Taylor said 3 names, then switched them when I entered the room. Okay.
Okay, but honestly, like I don't know if
does
that's true or not, but it probably could have been because I'm a mess. We established that. So I definitely.
So this round was fucking wild because there was no room limit. So the 6 of us literally get on the call in room 1, and at first it was just me, Brandon, TSL, and Kevin, and we're all like, vote for Dash. Period. Like that's what we're doing. No, that's what they said. I didn't agree to it.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Kevin said it, and
even
though I was a little considerate. I was considerate. Don't give me that look, Dash. But and then Dash popped in, fucking screaming at Brandon and Kevin for being hetero bitches.
Okay, let me address this, please, because I feel like I'm getting Ika Wonged right now. This is the thing. Don't pop your chest out to a lion if you're not a lion. That's my thing. And Brandon, my thing was like you were so like I don't think that was your intention because you are a nice guy. Like, but you came off hella condescending to me. And my whole thing is like, I don't like when people like will be like, oh well, and it was very this is how it came off to me was, oh well, you're going home. I have an LOS and we're all voting you. It was a very
and I would never, I don't ever, like, 'cause when people talk to me like that, I get annoyed. So I would never do that on purpose. But I was just stating straight up, like, I do have an LOS. I will be playing it, and I'm voting for you. Like, it wasn't, I don't want to add any theatrics to it, because theatrics, like, put salt in the wound. Like, and, like, so I just wanted to say it straight up. But I understand how you would feel that way, for sure.
Thank you.
Dash, this was the thing. You pop it in the room and you're like, I have 2 LOSs. I'm playing one on me, one on Jacob. Hell no, you did not have 2 LOSs. I counted how many times I had said LOS and how many LOSs had been played. Knowing that Brandon had one and knowing that I had one and that Taylor and Kevin did not have LOSs. So you just looked stupid.
No,
but
that was bad, but we'll get there. Wait, so basically, sorry, I just really need to address it because I got so
Jacob was so mad at you, Dash. It was amazing.
This was crazy to watch.
Like,
yeah.
You were like, Jacob, I love you. I will save you. You are the best person in this game. And Jacob was like, shut the fuck up. He was like,
don't even speak, Jacob. I got you. I got an LOS. Jacob, come on. We're good.
And then Jacob was like, do you have an LOS? And he was like, no. You were like, no, I actually don't. And Jacob was like, I swear to God, I'm going to find your address.
I think
I'm so sorry. Like, genuinely. Okay, so basically, what I heard Brandon say was, well, I'm going to the Final Four, me, Kevin, Sarah, and Taylor. So I knew, like, me and Jacob. And, like, I already have such a, like, I love people who are, like, advocates and, like, aren't afraid to like stand up and like be out about their differences. And the fact that he said that from the beginning, like that he has disabilities, like I just think that is so brave and like amazing. And Jacob, like I love you for that. Like you are inspiring people to own their disabilities and like not let it hold you back. And like so that in itself, I already was like felt protective over Jacob. And I've watched his previous 2 minis where he was pre-jury twice and I was rooting for him. So I was so happy he made jury. And then when I get in the room and it's basically like me and Jacob are being excluded now, and it felt very catty. And like it felt like, and my back was already against the wall. They took out Daniel, and now they're coming for me and Jacob. So literally, it was like, it felt like a fucking wolf being backed up in a corner. So when a wolf's backed up in the corner, they're gonna motherfucking bite. And that's why I said, who the fuck do you think you're speaking to? Because I'm not the one. That's the truth. Like, I'm like the nicest bitch in the world, and like I really do want to spread love. And like I know like watching me last night, you're probably like, this bitch nice, but the truth is,
I'm sorry, you just said I'm the nicest person in the world after you said like I am not the one. Like, pick a side, Dash.
Dash is really
Pick a fucking side.
He is a good human.
right?
Yeah.
On one hand,
right.
I'm coming for a good place. I always want to fight for what's right, you know? On the other hand, I'm a redhead and I have explosive anger. So those two mixed together, it's like I'm fighting for what's right and I'm trying to stand up and be like, fuck you, bullies. Like in the moment. I mean, not for me.
Bullies.
That's like dramatic. But
Dash, here's the thing. I was pissed because you came into the room screaming. I had no intention of voting you or going against you. And I literally just wanted you to chill in the other room. I was going to come find you. And we could have talked about a plan. And then instead, you're just fucking screaming at everyone. Like, I have two. That's when you started to look shady because you made it seem, whether this was true or not, that Jacob was your number one and you were going to play an LOS on Jacob, protect Jacob. And I think that's why Jacob was pissed because when you started saying that, I was like, then I'm going to get rid of Jacob. So Dash only has me.
100%. And I was just going to say, it would have been interesting because you like obviously all of us understand that like if you only have one LOS and you're throwing it that you're going to fit two people, you're probably at the end of the day, it's the last round to use it, going to use it on yourself. So for Sarah and I, it made sense for us to vote for Jacob, but had you have actually LOS Jacob, what would have happened? Because I don't think anyone voted for you.
No, we put one vote on Dash. So what happened was we're sitting in the room of 6 and I said room 2, Kevin and Taylor flashed to room 2 and I said, we're splitting the vote. We're voting Jacob and Dash was still fucking screaming at Brandon in the other room when we split the vote. And I said, look, guys, I have an LOS. Do you want me to play it on? I said, Taylor, do you want me to play the LOS on you? And she said, no, just play it on yourself. It's fine.
Yeah.
But the chat thought I was going to play it on Kevin, but
I got your showman's actually yours.
My showman's Kevin.
Yes.
Okay. If I could do it over, I would have never said anything about an LOS.
Don't say that because you won. Don't do anything different.
Don't flash it. I say unless it worked for Brandon.
I sunk his game because that was never my intention. I was trying to get you guys to vote each other. Like, in my drunken mind, I was like, well, if I say like that I'm playing 2 LOSs, like clearly they're gonna vote each other. And
that's the thing is that you can go back and do math.
Yeah,
and figure out like
it.
I mean, if it had worked, it would have been really a good gameplay. Okay, let's just give Dash that.
Yeah.
If it had worked, but there was no fucking way.
And at the end of the day,
nobody was as drunk as you, Dash. Nobody was that drunk.
And I think that's the reason because I was completely sober. Like, I'm not drinking on live stream underage. So you just seemed ridiculous when I could do math.
Honestly, Sarah, your mind is so powerful. The fact that you like knew that I was sitting, like I love that. But Sarah, I felt so betrayed by you too because I'm like, that's my ride or die, and now she's all kiki with Brandon when Brandon's being all condescending to me. So I was like,
my thing was that you had made it seem in that moment that Jacob was your ride or die. Like it was the perception of if Jacob doesn't go, and we're like you said, like. I would have Jacob or Sarah in the final 2. Like, no, or. You want me in the final 2, not Jacob or me.
No, yeah, you were my final 2.
Right. It just.
So I'm sorry. That's my own bad that I painted it that way. In that moment, I was protective because I felt like we were being excluded. And, like, it just made me lash out. Because, like, that's when I'll get really angry. Is like, now, like, first you come for me, but then you're going to come for this icon who's, like.
But nobody was coming for him until you said that. Nobody was coming for him.
Brandon said me, Kevin, Sarah, and Taylor are going to Final 4.
Right, but that wasn't.
I think he was. I don't think anyone was actually down for that. I think he was just being a dick.
I think Brandon was just being respectful enough that the people who in his room, he was lying to them.
I think the other thing is like. I think you were really easy to set off. So I don't know if Brandon was intentionally trying to set you off or he just did set you off and it worked.
And I don't like you. I mean, you all obviously watched it and we all lived it, but I will not ever react to anything like that. I mean, it's just not my personality. Like I just kind of sat and then I went to another room and then I talked about it in a confessional. It's just not my thing. And I was saying in confessionals before that, like if Dash makes it to the end, Dash deserves to win. And even after that fight, I said, if after
and then you voted for me.
Then you did vote for me.
I knew you won. I knew from the jury chat that you won. So everybody was saying that
Real close.
4-3.
Yeah.
But I wanted Sarah to. I mean, I wanted Sarah to win. I thought that you were going to win, but I wanted Sarah to win. Just after that. But I said, like, if you can make it to the end by doing that, you absolutely deserve to win for sure. You know, like if that's the move, which it worked out, you know, and then you got them to flip at 5 and vote Kevin off instead of you, which was what I thought was going to happen. I thought we were going to do the final 4 with Kevin. So
and I think the difference, like in one sentence between mine and Dash's game, was that Dash survived his back being against the wall. I made sure my back was never against the wall, and it's just what you respect more. And like Dash was flashy as fuck, like period, entertaining, loved it. Like that's how I love to play when I'm not like trying to be chill and trying to go far. But he did it. Period, king.
I don't know how. And like Sarah, I respect your game so much. I can't believe that I got the vote over you genuinely, because like the fact that you're so young and you're so mature and so smart, like I reacted, like I'm embarrassed with how I reacted. Like, yes, do I regret clocking Brandon? No, but I wish I wouldn't have done it with so much anger. I wish that I wouldn't have, you know, because I don't like to be that. I don't like to be this angry person.
The other thing is it did work for you to be so emotional in the final 2, because at that point I was like, look, I could clock him. I could piss him off, make him so mad, like be that bit. But you were crying. You were like, this would mean the world to me, like in front of Sequester Universe. Like, how are you supposed to attack a guy like that? Like,
right.
And I meant every word I said. Like I was being dead ass genuine. That's why it pissed me off so much when these trolls, these basic trolls, are
I think it was just my friends, and I apologize.
No, we stand your friends. Like you can hype up Sarah without bashing down.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And I just think that's so whack. Like I am in that chat every motherfucking weekend. I'm such a super fan. I'm always hyping up the people I love. You will never see me bash someone personally. That is whack. If you're bashing someone personally,
Kevin,
that is your own. You should probably work out in therapy, because everyone should be in therapy. We love therapy. But like, don't be bashing people personally. You just look whack as fuck, and you look insecure, and you look jealous and like a hater.
And that's why I love Taylor's question. Like, what do you respect more about the other person? Because at the end of the day, like, we're all here to have a good time. Like, as Dash said, like, so many people are thriving on these minis during quarantine. Like, it should be fun.
As much as like fighting is fun, like you never want it to be personal, and that's what I wanted with my question, is like to bring each of you up from the opposing side. But also, perception is everything in a jury, and if you can recognize somebody else's game, like I will give kudos to you for that, because like if you don't have a good perception on the game and you're so focused on your own game and thinking why you're the best and the other person isn't, like that's not good.
No game awareness, yeah.
And I want to speak on my jury vote quickly, just because it just came up. But I did, you know, while saying that I thought Dash was going to win the entire time, I did vote for Sarah because we worked so closely together throughout those couple rounds. It was just, you know, me wanting to support who I was voting with. But I absolutely thought that you both deserved.
Love you, Taylor.
Thank you, Brandon. It means a lot, especially after I was such a bitch to you. So thank you.
I think the other
So
fucking
this was around.
hysterical thing during this whole game was us holding up hearts to each other to show that we were like still with the alliance. Like this 3, and then Dash got into it too, and I was just confused. I was like, who told Dash? Like,
there was absolutely, Dash, no ill will towards that at all. I mean, it was absolutely the game. And then also you were intoxicated also, which is like, it was totally fine. It was, you know, absolutely fun. And like I said, you know, and Taylor said it a little bit ago, but I just wanted to say it, you know, while we're all here. I had so much fun. I mean, an unbelievable amount of fun doing this. I watched every single mini. I watched most of them for the entire time. There's a couple that weren't as good, but I watched a lot of them, you know, for the entire time. And I was glued to it. And I was debating whether I wanted to do this or not, just because I didn't know if I would be good at it. And then, you know, I do it, and it was the most fun that I've had in forever. And I think that I played very well, and I just got to a point with the final even 6, even that there was nobody that was going to take me to the final 2 at that point. Like everybody.
I'm pissed that Taylor didn't give me the win and drag Dash.
Well, I mean, yeah,
I
pissed.
couldn't do it. I couldn't have brought myself to drag Dash because I know, no, but I've been in Dash's position where like we've just been robbed this whole entire time. And it's been like us two have been in the community for a really, really, really long time. So I knew how much it meant to him. But I also, on the flip side of the coin, Brandon literally forced me to go to that wheel.
Yeah.
So it was just poetic for me to just be like, fuck you, Brandon. You're the reason why I'm here.
And we have to go to Final Five before we get to why everyone did what they did at 4. But
so
yeah.
Let's move into that. Suzi, if you have a final point you want to say.
Yeah, I just want to say at this point I was like actively concerned for Dash though because he cried so much when Jacob left. I was like, this dude is gonna get dehydrated.
I gotta go watch that.
I think Taylor looked at me and was like laughing. I don't think we
and you had like tissues with you, and so it was like this it was very camp in some ways.
So
it was, like tissues flying.
For anyone who wants to rewatch anything, you need to go back and rewatch Room 5. Leading into the final 5 because it's just pure gold. There's a moment specifically at the top. I didn't even get to retweet all of the great clips, but there's one clip where after Jacob's eliminated, Dash bursts into tears and criticizes the players left in the game, saying any of the jurors deserve to be here over these stupid ass bitches. As the mod comes on and starts going, Dash, you need to mute. Dash, you need to mute. And he's going, no, these stupid ass bitches. And he's Dash, and
I think the funniest thing was that
shout out to Room 5 mod Bill.
Oh my god, Billy, I love you.
Dash was like, I will choke, and Bill was like, no, please stop. And then Dash was like, I said what I said.
Because if you look at the chat, Taylor and Dash were both talking, but everyone was like, Dash mute, like shut the fuck up.
I asked my roommate, I was like, am I allowed to talk to him this period? He was like, yeah. I'm like,
so it was like leading into the puzzle where Dash was being told to mute, but then when the puzzle started, Dash was freely narrating his thoughts, and they were also amazing. So anyone should just go back and watch the whole puzzle round from Dash's room.
From Sarah cheating.
So good. Oh yeah, and then
part of the puzzle meltdown, and I literally was like, this is homophobic.
Well, I was fucking pissed because look, I get the mods have like tons going on. Like it's a great thing to be a mod and like to give your time, and like it's stressful. My mod did not tell me that I could not use ghost mode and array, and then he wanted me to restart the puzzle without having everybody else restart. And I was like, absolutely not. We can all restart or I'm gonna keep going. Like I knew that once we had a puzzle challenge at the final 5, I was a lock in the final 4. Like, I think Taylor screamed when we had the puzzle because I just fucked her in a mini because I won a puzzle and sent her to tribal council and she went home.
No, because I thought I had won the puzzle because I'd completed it and I was sitting there like, oh my god, I think I did it. I think it's me. And then they said Sarah won. I was like, fuck you, Sarah.
So, Sarah, like, basically, I was a little upset because I feel like I think you would have won the puzzle regardless. Like you're clearly extremely intelligent. But seeing the ghost, you knew that it was a rectangle.
I knew it was a rectangle before. I knew it was a rectangle.
I didn't know. And if I could have just clicked it, I wish they would have just let us all click the ghost and unclick it. We could see the shape at that point, just to even the playing field. I'm sure my drunk ass still wouldn't have won. I mean,
I'm gonna be honest. If you just look at the number of pieces, it was a 35 piece or it was a 7x5 rectangle. Period.
That's what I said, but I thought it was long.
I've been playing these for way too long.
Dash and I were almost tied, and Dash had a lot of alcohol, and I had 0, and I was just taking my fucking time with it.
Yeah, I mean, at the puzzle at this point, I read through my Discord chats. Like, all my friends are like, it's over. Sarah's winning this puzzle. Like, that is one slide puzzles, jigsaw puzzles I can do. That's it.
There was also nearing when you were winning, Sarah. You were like getting so close. I was watching. I could see all the screens, everyone's progress, everyone playing. And Sarah, you were a few pieces from completion. And then Dash was probably like 15 or 20 pieces behind you. But he was like, that's right, bitch. I'm going to get it. I'm about to win. Fuck yeah. I'm doing so well right now. Hell yeah. These bitches don't know what's coming for them. What the fuck? And then when you lost, you're like, oh, fuck this. It was so good. It was so funny.
Oh my god.
I hope
I was
that
hyped. Thank you for that puzzle because I did not take notes in trivia when I kicked my ass.
So Audrey was sounding like that she was going to scrap the puzzle altogether because of kind of the hinkiness of it. But I think adding comps in is such a great idea. And I think that there's just ways that we could work on it to smooth out the kinks so that way it can work smoothly because it's all a process. But I'm definitely for keeping comps.
I think
the thing, Audrey, if you are watching, like the first time you do anything, there's gonna be bumps. There's gonna be hints in the road. So I would not scrap it. I would just take like the mistakes that will happen here. Like make sure the mods say no goes, no arrange. Make sure they all start at the same time, and it would be fine. Because I agree, adding comps is a different skill that we don't see in Sequester. That like some people are better at, and some people aren't. But like it really gives those people that are good at like things like that comps like Sequester.
Thank you, Audrey.
Because like watching online, and we had so many comps with like the cups and like the ping pong ball or whatever the fuck we did on Sequester.
If you don't have like a deck of cards and red solo cups like right next to your deck and you play minis, like what are you doing? It's fucking.
Yeah. I love it. I think you definitely just have to work out those kinks, and that's it.
The other thing is that if Audrey had announced like at the same time like we're starting now, like if the mods, because I think the mods told us when to start and then they weren't all on the same page, so it like seemed a little annoying for people whose mods weren't like responding all the way like 100% of the time. Like I mean that's it. Like
I don't want to yada yada the puzzle round, but also I have to leave in 10 minutes. So if we could maybe talk about the final four super quickly.
Sure.
Just
final thought about the puzzle before we move on. People are saying in the chat that there is a timer option on the puzzle. So that's something that could be explored.
I won anyway.
You could individually time the player. So even if they start on different times, you can see who truly won. All right. Yep. Well, so at final five, after the puzzle, Kevin was eliminated and we moved into the final four. And Brandon, it's a good point. I'll let you lead on this because I do know that there are people in the chat who want to know what your strategy was. Yeah. So I'll let you have that time to speak before you have to go.
My strategy there was I knew that I was getting dragged no matter what. I mean, there was a point. So I didn't think, well, actually, I didn't know for sure that Sarah and Taylor were as close as they were. Like I had no idea. They kept that secret the whole time. So I thought breaking them up was my best bet. I knew Dash was going to drag them. So I thought about, do I vote for Dash or do I try to vote for Sarah and then hope that Sarah maybe drags Taylor? Which
never.
It wasn't going to happen. But I Hail Married it and I tried to vote for Sarah. And then at that point, I just wanted to be in the final two badly against anybody, just because although, you know, and like I said, I had the resume. I wanted my big move to be getting Dash out and Dash wasn't out. Like, so, and if I got Dash out, then I wanted to do anything that I could to get me there with somebody else so I can show off the resume of who I got out, when I got them out. And for the first half of the game, I was just, you know, making the social bonds that got me to the point that I was at. Because, you know, the four of us can't make it to the final four had we not had those bonds. I mean, there are 16 other people that aren't in the final four for that reason. So I think that doing that, you know, pinning it, trying to pin it on Sarah. And then I was saying, you know, all girl final two to fluster. That was
the chat was mad about that.
A lot of, the chat was very mad. I was saying that to fluster everybody. I wanted to that's so funny that all the people are saying that I got there, Alexa.
I told you that this morning.
That's so funny. I was just saying that to, you know, one, it was pandering, and two, I was trying to fluster people. But I was always voting for Sarah. I was never voting for Taylor. I was never voting for Dash.
See, people in the chat were like, well, Sarah and Taylor have literally been quiet. They need to say something. I felt like we didn't need to say anything at all.
And I didn't know that. I thought that you guys, I had no clue you guys were as close as you were. Genuinely zero.
We're not close.
Who? But no, you guys are going after each other, and I was just sitting there like I didn't have to say anything. And like normally I do have to put in my opinions and try to save myself, but nobody was saying my name. So like I'm just
curious more so what Dash's plan was, because you said you weren't going to drag any of the girls, and then you're like, I'm going to drag you, Brandon. I'm going to drag you, Taylor. I'm going to drag you. Like what?
Yeah, okay. That was
before you start, I don't think there's a single scenario where you don't drag me. Like, I don't think that you're ever dragging one of the two of them. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is the thing. I'm going to address it. So, Brandon, I think you made a good move voting with me, first of all. I think that was your best chance at making the final two.
Absolutely.
Taylor, I love you.
When I was going to drag you, like, I was dead ass serious. I was definitely going to drag you. But then Taylor pissed me off because she was like, basically like, well, both of the girls started to really piss me off because they were just like completely fucking me. I mean, it's the game, you know.
Yeah.
But basically, when I threatened Taylor, and if the round it ended right there, and I'm pretty sure I swore on my best friend that I was gonna drag Taylor. So if the round had ended right then, I don't know what I would have done because I would have had a really hard time going against my word after swearing on somebody I love so much.
Right.
Mhm.
But then I switched back to dragging you, Brandon, which I'm really grateful I did because I would have 100% rather dragged you, Brandon.
Yeah.
No offense, obviously, it's all
absolutely.
clean. But I would have loved, like, if I couldn't win, I would love to see the all
Right.
female.
I was doing the same too. I was dragging you 100% if I was good out there. Like I was getting those two to the end. But then I wanted to be in the final two also. So I just said, fuck it, we'll do a wheel. You know. Which
I don't
Yeah.
Fuck that wheel.
I love it.
Fuck that wheel.
It's just like we should do a fire making competition at 4. There should not be a wheel. Dash versus me, I got it. Period.
Yeah, the wheel definitely.
Here's the
sucks.
thing that, like, everyone was saying Sarah and Taylor didn't have to talk at all, but Sarah, you did, because at one point you were going. Like, somehow Brandon and Dash had flipped it, and
But I
Sarah,
didn't,
you
because
like
Taylor was
you
never gonna
flipped
vote
it
for
back
me.
so fast. You flapped it back so fast, and then like you were under the radar. So I just want to point that out because like people, I feel like it's underestimating your game to say you didn't have to talk because there
Well,
was a point you were going.
I think
And you
strategy not
I
to
don't think
talk.
I was going, but definitely getting. I don't think Taylor was ever voting for me.
But it's also a strategy not to talk. People have to understand that just because like some people are
Oh,
loud
I didn't
and like,
talk.
aggressive.
Yeah, I didn't talk.
Yeah,
Before.
it doesn't like it,
So-
maybe it doesn't make
And
sense.
honestly,
If
it
everyone's
probably.
fighting each other.
Go ahead.
I had no choice but to talk there. So it's like you
Exactly.
people that are in the position where they have to say anything. So I was just throwing shit at the wall to see what would happen.
And I don't think Brandon, it was necessarily a bad move because had you somehow flipped Taylor, I might have dragged Dash just to get Taylor a win.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. And like
Taylor,
Don't
if you
say
had known
that.
that Brandon was gonna vote Sarah, because it was confusing and it was unclear to me who Brandon was voting for. If you had known that Brandon was voting Sarah, would you have voted Sarah so to avoid the tie?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to like whether or not I wanted a chance to win or like let my friend have a chance to win. So I feel like I would, like, if I had snapped out of that emotional tie that I had, it would have made sense. Like, I spent 6 hours or whatnot fucking playing this game, and I made it to Final Four. And what the hell? Like, I'm never going to be able to do that again because I'm such a big target in these things. So I probably should have flipped on Sarah at that point, knowing that she wouldn't have dragged me, and I probably could have had a good chance at winning at the end of the day. But I don't know. It sucks because I'm such an emotional person, and I love the people that I love all four of you. It just really sucks.
And I think Taylor was a little upset after when I said I would have been okay with you voting me. Like,
I definitely was because like I'm an emotional person, and it really would have hurt me like as a person to do it.
and I guess my thing is like, I low-key expected Taylor to do it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, she's a boss-ass bitch. She's a great player. I thought like there was a minute there where I was like, you know what? If Taylor votes me out, like, good on her. Like, we're friends, and then there's game. I was never gonna vote you out because like this is my first mini. Like at a point, like if you or I won, it was a win for me. So I don't know. It was confusing. It was emotional.
It sucks.
I want to give props like to Brandon because you had the balls to go to the wheel, and like I was triggered because it was like very reminiscent of. It felt like deja vu from my first mini, which was fans versus favorites. I was the last fans. I'm gonna give you a little dash of history lesson in 30 seconds.
Dash of history.
My first Sequester Mini ever was fans versus favorites. I was the last fan standing, got to Final Four with Terissa and Dana of season 1 and Josh of season 2. I knew Terissa and Dana are besties, ride or die. If you didn't stand them in season 1 of Sequester, you don't have taste. And basically, Josh, I was like, Josh, our only way is to vote together. Like, they're not going to vote each other. You have to vote with me. I'm going to drag your ass and give these iconic queens in the final too. And Josh literally was like, well, I'm okay with them in the final too. Like, we stand them. And like, we love Josh. He's such a big heart. But it's like, if you're going to sign up to play this game, play to fucking win or don't fucking play at all.
And I
So
think
I think the other thing is that nobody knew that Taylor and I were as close as we are until Final Four. Like, I don't think that Brandon, when he was constructing his Final Fours, knew that I would never drag Taylor. Taylor would never vote me. I would never vote Taylor. She would never drag me.
Of that, I had absolutely zero idea. You guys hid that to the degree that I can't even explain. Like, you guys did that beautifully. I literally was campaigning on you guys splitting up and then having me in the final two. And I do think, I do think I could have constructed an argument to at least get some respect in the final two in some capacity. I don't know. Maybe I don't know how it would have gone with Sarah, but I do think that there could have been an argument.
Well, I think Brandon, that we played very similar games, so it would have been harder for you to make a case against me.
I think me, you, and Dash all played similarly, where we were.
Dash?
Why do you think? Well, not towards the latter half, but I think we're all, we all relied mostly on social stuff, and then we know when to throw out names. Like, that was our thing.
Well, I would say that Dash
from the bottom
and
also.
Taylor played very similar, being like the big names, big threats. You and I, newbies, first time, we had like space to. Sarah and Taylor don't have org history. What's that?
I have never played any of these.
We've actually never played together, though.
We've never played an org together.
This is my first anything of this sort.
Okay, I don't get Brandon. Can you clarify what you mean by a social game? Because it's it's a game of social, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly that.
There's one comp,
right, but we're better. I mean, I think that's my.
And Sarah's the comp beast, by the way.
Right. We're better at that than most people. I think we're just exceedingly social, and we know how to make these bonds, and we can do that to a.
I mean, there are people who aren't able to connect with people in 30 seconds, and there are people who are. It's just all of us can, because we made the final four. Anyone who didn't went home early.
Okay, I do have to step out though. My this was a lot of fun. You can all take a picture and follow this. I will talk to you all soon. This was a lot of fun. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Brandon.
Okay. I want to ask him, why was he staying in the final four, all female final two, and then voted Sarah? That made no sense to me, and I really wanted
that pissed me off because I hadn't decided if I was going who I was dragging, between Dash and Brandon. On one hand, I wanted Dash to have, a final two. On one hand, I want Taylor to win. On the other hand, Brandon is lying for no reason. What is the reason of
Brandon's coming back in real quick. Let's see.
Hey.
Yay.
Somebody said wait.
Brandon is our chaotic king.
You want to know why you lying?
Yes, please.
So something I'm confused about. You ended up voting with me, which I said I really fucking respect, and I think that was ballsy as fuck, and could have been a game-winning move in the end. That could have helped build your case. But why were you saying, oh well, the girl final two? That's cool with me, because that kind of threw me off and almost made me want to vote you. So why weren't you just more clear with me? I'm voting Sarah.
But even if you vote me, then Sarah still goes. So I'm just trying to fluster whoever I can fluster to switch.
No.
Right?
If I vote you, and I drag you.
Oh, you're right. Shit. Okay. Then I don't know what my strategy was there. I guess I feel like I was trying to fluster you, but I don't know how it was working.
Accidental. You flustered your damn self.
Right. I mean, but I don't know. So let me take this back, because also I was very tired and I didn't think that I was making the final two anyway. So I was just if I can't. So my thing is, if I couldn't make the final two, then I wanted the two girls to be in the final two. I've been saying that the whole time. So I guess that's what it was. And I was trying to just throw shit at the wall. I don't know. There was really no strategy behind that.
Okay.
You and I are likable.
Thank you, Brandon.
What's that?
So we're pretty likable.
Yeah.
We're making the final two.
Like I said, was never in any scenario not voting for Sarah there. I was locked for Sarah. That was my only shot of making it.
I just wish you made that more clear with me, because I literally voted you.
Right.
Well, it doesn't matter, because Taylor doesn't vote for me, and it still goes 2-2 and goes to a wheel.
No, but
it didn't make sense, because when Brandon said he was going to flip on Dash.
What?
Brandon said he was
I was saying
on
anything.
Dash.
I was literally trying to just make people panic, I think. I was just
we were
not
fighting
Taylor and I
between
didn't
that and the wheel.
Chaotic energy, everyone.
I love the chaos.
Real energy.
And there was really no strategy to there was no strategy to that part. I knew what I was voting, and maybe I should have been more clear about it. But also, I was getting dragged the other way. So what does it matter? At that point,
Sarah said she might not have dragged you, though.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Brandon, your best move there is saying Dash put your vote on Taylor, because then Sarah goes to the wheel with you.
I would not have drawn a wheel.
She might drag you, and then you're in final two. So
I think Taylor actually has a lower chance of. Sorry, I have a lower chance of drawing a wheel for Taylor than she does for me, because I'm not emotional. She is. I love you to death.
This is when I'm going to bow out because I really have to go eat dinner. So this is fun.
Bye, Brandon. Enjoy your dinner.
I'm just gonna take notes on that and remember that for the future.
I'm scared. No.
Yeah,
no,
you better be.
No. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. I just want to say, Taylor, I love you so fucking much for not dragging me. Like, if I had gotten dragged again, like, I really would have been a wreck. Like, that would be 3 times not surviving the round table. Like, 3 times I played this game, I fucking worked my ass up and made it to Final Four, and every fucking time I'm so close and can't make it to the Final Four.
No, I would go to Will for you. I would go to Will.
And I knew how much that meant to you. I knew how much that meant to you, and regardless of whether or not, like, at least I gave you that chance to pick. So I knew that, like, had I voted Sarah over you, you probably would have forgiven me more than me dragging you for not giving you that chance. So, like, that was my thought process because I knew how much.
I respect your vote for Sarah 100%. As I said, I think Sarah played a fucking amazing game. I think Sarah's a boss-ass queen, and I hope she wins a future mini. And I hope you do too, Taylor. You deserve your winning long over fucking you. And the fact that you basically, like, allowed me that chance, like, I'm forever indebted to you. Like, anytime we're in a game, I will always, because I already have my crown. I want you to get yours now, both of you.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
We're playing or together in the same phase.
Brandon, dragged from the Final Four, now dragged from our podcast to dinner. Suzi's experiencing tech issues, I think, so she should maybe be back soon. But joining us in Brandon's place to talk about the final part of the game, we have Louis, who I normally have with me. Former mini winner Louis. So yeah, let's talk final 2. Taylor, you're eliminated. Brandon gets dragged. We get brought down to Dash and Sarah. It's just the 2 of you. What are you thinking? What's your strategy going into this? I know, Dash, you're pretty drunk. Are you worried at all about how you're going to put your thoughts together concisely for your jury questions? Your answers, I mean.
I was just like, let me get in this sparkle and let me just fucking, like, show these people how bad I want it. Like, I knew that that's where, like, I could make a case to win, was, like, the fact that I'm a big target and the fact that I fucking played fucking hard and put my everything into this game. Nobody, you can talk all the shit you want. You can call me trash. I don't really give a fuck. I know I'm a bad bitch. But what you can't do is say that I didn't work my fucking ass off. So I knew that that was my pull to win, was that I worked really hard and that I want this so bad.
There was a whole array of things that happened in that moment when you two went to final 2, and that we had 2 full wardrobe changes. We also had Mom come swooping in with the hug, which was
great.
A lovely moment.
It was so tender and sweet. Your mom, yeah.
Oh, I think that was my dad.
Oh, or dad, whomever.
Somebody came in and swooped in with the hug, and that was.
It's a game, Dash. Calm down.
Apparently, Dash's parents.
Dad, I made final 2. He's like, you're a train wreck.
I mean, okay, I actually thought that I probably had a better chance against Dash than against Taylor. Like, I think Taylor sweeps me 100%. Like, whatever. Taylor, by the way, I would have drawn a wheel for you. I regret saying that. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Would you drag me or Brandon?
I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like I don't know. I'm happy I was never put in that position because I love you, but I want Taylor to win if it can't be me. Like, look at her. Look at that face. Like, how can you say no? Point being, I thought I had the best chance against Dash, actually, out of the 2 of y'all. I think I beat Brandon regardless. I think any of us beat Brandon regardless. Yeah. But I love you, Brandon. But he knows that I think we were bigger personalities and more flashy with our moves and maybe more respected. I think Brandon had a case for sure, but we had to put less of an effort to make a case. I think me versus Dash, he was so emotional. My thought was to be so unemotional and so articulate strategically. And I think maybe that came off like I didn't care as much. I did. I just wanted a polar opposite what he was, going on about. And it came down to 1 vote. Like, we both made good cases in the end. We both played really good games. It literally just came down to preference about, do you prefer watching Sarah Lucina or do you prefer watching Adam Klein? You know what I mean? It's just a taste.
I think
I was skipping random names. I'm sorry.
Looking at the jury chat, though, like, they were all talking about how emotional Dash was being and how, like, it was leaving a bad taste in their mouth. So I really thought that the jury was favoring Sarah more so Dash at one point until they're questioning. So, which I really appreciate from the jury because, like, some people don't take it seriously and just, like, vote how they want to vote at the beginning of the round. And some people that do take it seriously, like, I really appreciate, even from a juror or a finals perspective, because, like, that is people that are truly respect the game and truly like have a passion for these things and listen, because it's important and all of us deserve our moment to have a chance to pitch our game. So
fuck yeah. And I'm a little annoyed that Brandon left, because I did want to clock him a little bit about the fact that he not only like backed me in a corner, betrayed me after I protected him multiple times. I saved his ass. He doesn't even ask me a question. Like, really? I'm sorry. As a juror.
To be fair, the mini was going on for a crazy amount of time, and Audrey did ask us to speed it up, and you were so drunk. All of your answers were 50 minutes long.
Were they really? Oh my God.
Yes.
I didn't see that vote coming at all, because it seemed like a lot of people like didn't even let you talk, Dash. Like Mike didn't say a word to you. Kevin didn't want you to speak, really. Like nobody wanted you to talk, but you still won. So I was curious as to who actually voted for you, because I thought it was going to be a landslide the other way.
Kevin, Taylor, and Brandon voted for me.
I was rooting for you, but I thought it was. I didn't think you had a shot.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I had Taylor, Brandon, and Kevin, and Dash.
I had Jacob. I had
Mike, Lavina, and Daniel.
Mike and Daniel.
I honestly thought that I had Lavina and Jacob.
But this final two was so good, because I feel like it's always so skewed one or the other. And like both of you had elements to your game that were like so polarizing, but so good from different like viewpoints. And that's what I appreciate about a final two like that, is that like two people that played very, very, really good games, but just completely different, seeing it battle out with a jury that's respective. I don't know. This mini was great.
So good. I think that like I probably should have pitched more that like this is my first game, like I fucking killed it, and I didn't need like all the mess ups that Dash had in the past to learn from it. I didn't need the prior relationships, the prior experience. Like I just fucking came and did it. But at the same time, I had to
really not there, but like you could be like, I'm 18 years old, like I'm a female, so things are already stacked against me, and like I didn't drink at all. Like I was my brain.
I need to list all of
Yo, when that vote reveal happened, it was 4-3. I'm not kidding. I think I shot a brick. Like that was so fucking scary.
And I think the other thing that people don't understand is like everyone was like, you must be so pissed. Like you must be so like. At this point, you've been playing with these people for 7 hours. Like, I would have been equally happy if any of these three won, because you just like get so emotionally invested. It's not like a regular mini where like you vote someone out in like 30 seconds and then you probably don't talk to them again. Like we were like the bonds were genuine, I think, between us three, and like we all played such good games and we all respect each other enough to give props where props are due.
It's very rare you get a final four that all four of you brought entertainment and brought something, and it was a unique group that all added something to the game. So I think it was great. I mean, in my opinion, it was the best mini I've watched by far. And I think that, Dash, you're already in, but I think all three of, the rest of the four should play again, and, because I think you're all fun to watch.
Taylor,
Audrey All-Star season,
I don't think Taylor, we can't play during Voyage.
What?
Yeah.
Well.
Thank you, Louie, for saying that. That's really, really sweet, because I'm like such a freak, super fan, reality TV nerd. I've watched pretty much every mini except for Suzi's, which is tragic because I stan Suzi. I know, I'm sorry, homophobia.
It's okay. You didn't see me go out second, so that works.
No, I saw you play. I loved you. You were in the Sharifa mini. Oh my God, that was one of my favorite ones.
Well, so I was in the Sharifa mini. Louis played in 2 minis. His first mini was my first mini with Suzi, and we both went home pre-jury. Then Louis went on to win the next night.
I watched Louis win.
Against Dakota. It was Louis versus Dakota.
And I love Dakota. I know that bitch from New York.
Wait, that's Dakota?
Mm-hmm.
Not Dakota. Yeah.
Dakota needs to come to the crown next, because she lost 4-3 twice, which is so traumatic.
Well, that's why I think I would love to see an all-star season before Winners at War, like people who came close and didn't. Like, there's gold. There's gold. Yeah, I mean,
everyone on the screen right now. All of us who haven't won on the screen right now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I agree, because like there are some winners that are like boring, kind of.
I feel like the other thing is like when you play a game as good, I think, as Taylor played, and I mean, I don't want to like be an asshole, or that I played or that Brandon played, it's almost more nerve-wracking to go back and play a mini with random people, because then people could just be like, Sarah made final 2 her last time, she was 1 vote away from winning, Taylor has this reputation. Like, if you put all of, like, I would be more inclined to play with the same people with the same reputations again, because I feel like it's like almost like an unfair starting point to just.
Oh, I felt because
I didn't even know that you had.
Because both my times playing Sequester, I got 4th and then 3rd. So I'm like, oh fuck! If these people watch my season, they know I'm a savage.
Right.
And I feel like Taylor kind of felt that same pressure, and that's why when people were coming for her for playing in the past and winning, I had to shoot that down. I had to shoot that down right away, because I was like, if they're gonna come for Taylor, they're gonna come for me next.
Come for you next. I know. I agree. And
I think that's what I was saying about Taylor's question. Like, I know Taylor, I know Dash have all been put in the situation where you are the biggest target, and there's literally nothing you can do except hope that the other targets protect you. It sucks. People don't give you a chance. Like, reputation is terrible.
That's why I almost gave up on mini sets, because I kept getting pre-jury, and I was like, fuck this. Like, it sucks. Like, I know I'm a good player. I know I can play these things, but, like, people don't give me a chance. So, like, it's nice to, like, end on this note.
Yeah.
Final 4 is fine.
This won't be the end of UTSL.
It's not the end, Taylor.
No, cough, don't ever bring me back, please.
Shut up.
Any other final thoughts about the final 2, about the game as a whole, about anything we want to find out from each other?
3 hours.
I know. We're wrapping up finally. I thought I was joking earlier when I said that. Suzi, are you talking?
Everybody, thank you for Audrey, to the cast. It was such a bomb cast. To all the fans, the haters, you know where to sit, bitch, right here and rotate. Especially the one talking about my Devon. Karma will get you, bitch. Just know that. You don't ever talk about someone's deceased relative. Yes, I probably shouldn't have brought him into the game, but that's how I was feeling. I'm a genuine ass bitch. If you can't handle it, go watch Barney and Friends, not Sequester. Welcome to the motherfucking show. Sarah, I literally am so proud of your game. Taylor, same to you. You guys balled the fuck out.
Dash, to pause you real quick, you can keep going. Chat, if you guys have any questions you want to ask these people before we end, start sending them now, so that way when we're done right now, we can start answering them. Continue, Dash. Go ahead, Sarah.
I just want to give props to Sarah and Taylor. You guys played amazingly. I loved working with you guys. I was riding for y'all the whole time.
I can't hear Dash now.
Oh, that's why at the end I like low key like was pissed, because I felt like I was like protecting you, Taylor, and then like you kind of like turned on me, but you did what you had to do, and I respect the game, and I really hope to see you both win, because you both deserve it, and you're bomb players. And thank you to TR, Louie, and Suzi for having us. I mean, you guys are all icons in your own right. So make sure to subscribe down below and like this video.
Brandon!
Buddy Louie, what's up? I just had a burger. I wanted to say hi.
Like, I'm definitely going to be watching tonight's mini, so if we want to get some like group chat going
We'll
or
do
something,
it.
We'll be there, I promise. Thank you so much, Audrey.
It is full Sequester content nonstop these weekends now, I feel like. From Friday night at 7 p.m., I feel like my entire weekend is now enthralled into Sequester world. I go to sleep and I dream about it. It's ridiculous.
But it's so
Yeah,
because
since you had an aggressive win in Winner's game, do you think you're going to be hard to trust because you threw Jacob and Kevin under the bus to get further?
Okay, let's address this, please. Number one, I didn't throw Jacob onto the bus on purpose. I was trying to
on purpose.
I was trying to save him. As I've already explained, I thought if people think that I have two LOSs, they would all turn on each other, because at that point I felt like everyone had turned my back on me, and I was trying to protect Jacob. So that wasn't my intention. Was it messy? Absolutely. But next time I won't be drinking. I learned my lesson. Well, maybe I'll drink a little. But
I think the thing that, like, I will vouch for Dash 1,000,000%. When he's with you, he's fucking with you. Like, he was with Jacob. He wasn't trying to fuck him up. Like, he protected Jacob, protected me, protected Taylor. Like, if that's what you need in an ally, which is what everyone in Winners at War needs, because all of y'all are fucking threats. You've all fucking won. This bitch will go to wheel. These are the people that you want on your side, period.
I'm a Taurus. I'm extremely
You're a Taurus?
I'm loyal. Like, I will fight for my people. You see how I am. Like, don't come for my people, because that's when I'll get real ratchet.
And I think we're all that way. Every single fucking one of us.
Brandon, what's your sign? I just
What's
need
your
to know.
sign?
I'm a Gemini.
Oh, I'm out.
I just want to say Kevin came for me first. Kevin he lied to me and he flipped on the Daniel vote. So that's when I was after Kevin, and I knew Final Five, my only chance of staying was telling the girls I would never drag them, which I wouldn't have ended up doing, and targeting Kevin. And I did go a little like along, you're going home, Kevin, a little extra, whatever, call it what you want it. We got a whole bunch of flavors over here.
Okay, the question is, Sarah, did you think too many good players made jury, and if you had one GOAT, it would have made a difference to be better set up? I don't think so. I think the only people that I lose to are these two right here. I think I set it up perfectly. Had Taylor drag Dash, I win. But I mean, I would have won if one other juror had voted their way. There is a chance for us all to win.
Speaking, can I ask y'all a question about jury? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't also, but this is a question for like Sarah, but also Brandon and Taylor, especially. Like in the chat, people were really frustrated with the fact that Daniel he was really Maddie-esque. Like remember Maddie in like Paris's season of Big Brother Canada, which she was like in the jury really talking up Paris, and then her and Johnny in the jury questions really set him up to win. So people in the chat were really frustrated that they felt like Daniel was doing something similar for Dash, and it was like, oh my god, you got to cut him off. He is just like, so Dash, tell me a million great things. So I want to know how y'all felt of that.
That is part of the game. Who you put on the jury and what they're going to say about you is part of who you want to be on the jury. And like, Tony Velachos doesn't win Cagayan without Spencer advocating for him. Tony had a fucking terrible jury performance. Natalie White does not win Samoa without Eric fighting for her. It's part of the game, and at the same way you can say Daniel fought for me, Daniel fought for Dash, Kevin fought for me too. He was just tamer about it and more Kevin about it. Daniel is a great person to put on a jury if they're going to fight for you. I didn't put it together fast enough that Daniel was going to advocate for Dash in the way that he did.
Yeah, and here's the thing is that, like, if you have somebody like that that's influencing the jury that much, like, all you have, especially online right now, all you have to do is just ignore your guys or ignore Twitter or, like, try not to look for Daniel's questioning. Because that's what I did. Honestly, Daniel was messaging me saying, like, oh, my God, we stand Dash. Like, he played such a great game, blah, blah, blah. And I just read it and ignored it because at the same time, like, I want to be my own person. I want to vote for the person that I think. Like, I want to hear people out, see their jury questions and stuff like that. I don't need other influences having that opinion. So I think it's really easy online to shut it off, but where if you're in person like Maddie and stuff like that, it's a little bit different because you don't have to them. So.
But it's like, that's literally the whole reason these games are fucking terrible to win. If you could just vote everybody out and then win a challenge at the end, they would be so much easier. The point of these games is to get to the end, but to get to the end in a way that people respect you and want you to win. It wouldn't be hard if it wasn't that way.
You gave me chills, Sarah, with that speech, and like it made me think of like Jeremy, also advocating for Natalie Anderson, just because they're two of my favorite all-time players. It's like that's part of the game, and I love that you said that. And it's just like he did what he had to do. You're allowed to do what you want with your jury time, and I feel like he said what he said. And as far as V47, you missed it, but I already addressed like Brandon came for me first. I wish I would have handled it in a calmer way, but you know, when you play with fire, you're gonna get burned. I'm a bad bitch, and if you have a problem, log the fuck out.
And we did not log out. That is what we did not do.
No, Brandon, you know it's all love between us.
Yeah.
I just am annoyed with these fucking leaders.
So I can't hear Dash, so I'm just pretending he's saying really nice things about me this whole time he's talking.
Right.
But really personal things about how good my hair.
I just wanted to come back and say hi again because I just ate a burger really fast. But I think I ate it too fast and I kind of want to throw up. So I will talk to you all soon.
Bye, Brandon.
Okay.
I love you.
And then I do have one last question for Dash. So if somebody else, so I'll listen to it later. But which was like everybody else from this Final Four has talked about their ideal Final Fours, and I feel like you talked a little bit in the game about your ideal Final Fours to a couple of different people. So what were in your mind like the actual ones that you were like, these are my Final Four?
Okay, love this question. Thank you, Suzi. I feel like being like the game, you have to be adaptable. So I wanted to give myself options, and I was down to go to Final Four with fucking anybody as long as there was at least one person that was a bigger threat than me sitting there. That was my goal. So if that person's Taylor, great. If it's Daniel, great. If it's Mike, great. Any of those three, I wanted one of them locked in for sure. I definitely wanted Sarah there because we were ride or die. And then I would have taken pretty much anybody else who I didn't think would drag me. I did not want Brandon there. I did not want Kevin there because I had already dragged them. Love you guys. And so I would pick, I would have put Geneva there. I would have put, who else? Yeah, I was open-minded. I was open-minded for that fourth spot. Ideally, someone who I don't think would have dragged me.
The people that I didn't want in the Final Four out of jury were Daniel and Jacob and Mike. That's it. Anyone else, it just came down to order and like who I thought gave me the like best chance to never have my name tossed around from 16 on.
You killed it.
Well, if that's about it, guys, we have reached the end. I didn't think it was possible. We did it. We made it through. Thank you guys so much for sitting down to talk last night's game. Seriously, I do have to agree with Louis. I have to echo his statement. It was probably the most entertaining mini that I've seen so far. It was a nonstop wild ride.
Wait, sorry, Rory said that he asked a question and he wants.
Let's see here. There we go. I think you kind of answered this earlier, which is why I didn't put it on, but I can put it on again.
Rory would like a shout out to the fact that he helped tell me strategies going into the game, and he would like that to be known.
Gotcha.
Oh, well.
Aww. Oh, also, a bunch of people are like coming at me saying I'm going to be pre-jury in Winners at War. You know what? I'm still a winner, and secondly, I'm a loyal bitch, and I'm clearly hated by these fans. So if you want to win in Final Two, you know what to do.
I don't know why Rory's mad at me now.
I am going to take over the screen for just a second, guys. Don't go anywhere. But for everyone watching, I just want to remind you that there is another mini tonight. Please don't forget that. And if you're interested in watching, you can watch it at sequesteraccess.com/live feed. I think it's being blocked right now, but there you go. It's here. There's videos. If you don't know how to play, I would assume that our entire podcast, the last 3 hours, would have filled in some gaps for you, but maybe not. Those are there. Also, in addition to that, please become a patron on the Sequester Patreon. Be sure to donate money. Down here, there's some payment options depending on how much money you got. You could be like these people here. Be on my podcast next week. Come talk to us about the game. We want to see you play. So all you have to do is support Audrey. She's made all this possible. This is a fantastic game she's put together, a fantastic community. It's a blast. So be sure to join in on the fun with everyone. Okay, so with that, guys, once again, just want to wrap up. Before we close up, does everyone have any social medias or anywhere that people can find you to catch you? I know you made a Twitter last night, Sarah, for the...
I didn't make it. I just
gotcha. Gotcha.
My Instagram is at Tay St. Louis, and then my Twitter is at Tay St. Louis, but with 2 Y's. So follow me.
Yes, Queen. Follow the Queen. We love her content. And you can find me on all social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Facebook at @Cats, DASHKATZ. And I will be YouTube about reality TV. I've done some interviews with some reality stars, and I'm not that active anymore. But when I do drop a video, they're always bomb, and it's usually surrounded with my mom, who's an icon. And I'm releasing a website soon, which is going to have a lot of really exciting content. So be sure to follow me to stay tuned for that too.
Sequester Mini.
Thank you for having me, y'all.
All right, peace.
Other social media? Don't leave just yet.
I'm not plugging my social media.
You can catch me at Suzi G, just like Suzi IG, and then you can also just find my website. You can buy my book if you like poems about
there you go.
weirdness. All right.
And then
y'all.
you
Great
guys
game.
can follow me at TR Conradi on Instagram, Twitter, Byte, whatever you want. I make videos when I'm not talking social strategy games, so check those out. And we will be going live again tomorrow at our new time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to discuss tonight's game. I'm going to be joined by Tony, previous mini player and fan favorite or fan hated, however you want to look at it. Tony will be here tomorrow, as along with some of the interesting players I'm able to wrangle from tonight's game. So be sure to tune in. Thanks for sticking around for the whole time. Most of you stayed, it seems, the whole 3 hours, so we really appreciate that. And once again, to you guys, great game. Thank you, Suzi, for joining us.
Thank you. Can I spill a little tea real quick before we go?
Last minute tea before we go. Dash, go ahead.
I just want to clock somebody. So like I got sent a bunch of comments, including the Suzi thing, which I'm so happy we paved over because I stan you. And it's really disappointing when you see past players contributing to the toxicity. So Drew from season 3, the pre-jury flop, I don't know what's your issue with me or why you have so much hatred towards me that you actually were saying in the chat that I shouldn't be asked any jury questions. Every single finalist that makes it to the final 2 deserves to plead their case. And I don't know if it's that I'm loud and proud and unapologetically queer, that I wear my emotions on my sleeve, but clearly your toxic masculinity is real triggered. And I would really wish that somebody who played the game would have a little more empathy and not contribute to the toxicity. I wish you all the best. You're dating a queen, Tori, who we stan. And I hope you can get onto her level and not hate on people for no reason.
Promote positivity.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot, and I had to get a little tea at the end, you know?
It's true, though. It sucks, like, playing a game and watching about the comments and the hate and stuff. Like, I get it's, like, fun and, like, it's all in game context, but just remember at the end of the day that we're all people and, like, we have emotions. And it's,
sometimes
like,
don't silence somebody, especially someone who's had to fight their whole life to live their truth. Like, as a queer person, for you as a straight white man who's super masculine to silence me, it's really, really deeply upsetting, and it's not cool, and it goes deeper than the game. And everyone should have a voice.
Well, unless anyone has any other tea to drop before we go, be sure to hit that subscribe button, that notification button, hit the like button, not the dislike button, please God. And that's it. Follow us all on Twitter, and except for Sarah, because she doesn't really use it. But yeah, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Thank you.